Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about Rocket Money. It's the start of a new year. It's the perfect time to get organized, set your goals, prioritize what matters most. And for me, top priority is getting myself together here. Financial wellness, doing that, which that feels important, you know? Just feels like adult stuff that you have to do. And thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable now. They show me all my subscriptions in one place, help me easily cancel ones I forgot that I've been paying for, which happened to me. Absolutely happened to me. I had, for years, I was paying for something. I was like, what is going on here? Rocket Money found it and saved me lots of money since then, because it's been a while. So they did a great job here. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder today. That's rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder. rocketmoney.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hi, I'm Ashley Flowers, and if you're like me and grew up watching America's Most Wanted and reading Nancy Drew, then hi, you're a crime junkie. And I bet that passion for solving mysteries never went away, which is why we've assembled a team of reporters to dig deep into all the cases we still obsess over. Each Monday, my best friend Britt and I will bring you a case that you won't be able to stop thinking and talking about. So join us by listening to Crime Junkie wherever you listen to podcasts.
This week, in Mayo, Michigan, a deep mystery forms when two friends disappear after hanging out in a small-town bar. This leads to a pair of pig-farming criminal brothers with a reputation for feeding their pigs more than just slop. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Yay, indeed, Jimmy. Yay, indeed. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmy Wisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today on another insane episode of Small Town Murder. This is going to be, we have a few in our history, your Phillips, Oklahoma, your Rulo, Nebraskas, there's just a few that pop up every once in a while that are such just a hillbilly disaster. Sometimes it's just nice people in the suburbs. Sometimes it's whatever. This is just wild stuff up here in Michigan. So we will get to that. Before we do get to that, just want to thank you for everything, first of all. Second of all, reviews help. So 5 stars, whatever app you're listening on, it helps a lot. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now to get all, first of all, your merchandise, everything from bath mats to coffee mugs. We got it all there. Not only that, get your tickets to the virtual live show Oh, that's right. Only 2 more shows going to be left for the rest of the year here, and they've been sold out for 2.5 years in Texas and Oklahoma. So this is our last virtual live show until 2023, when we'll have regular live shows and hopefully more virtual. It is October the 27th, Halloween, baby. We're going to tell a super weird, creepy Halloween story. It'll be a lot of fun, and that'll be available for 7 days after that as well. So you can watch anytime you want. You can do anything you want with it for 7 days. That is shutupandgivememurder.com or moment.co/smalltownmurders where you get those tickets. Come join us just like a live show, but you're in your house. And
I'm in yours.
And there you go. You're at my house and we're hanging out. So either way, fun stuff. It's a really kind of a social thing, so it's fun. Yeah. We can't wait to do it. We're excited for it. Patreon this week is awesome as well. Patreon.com/crime and sports. If you haven't joined yet, this is the week. Do it anytime. We have anybody $5 or above. It's a cup of coffee. Anybody with a cup of coffee or above, you get access to everything we've ever put out bonus-wise. Over 100 episodes to binge in the back catalog, in addition to 2 new episodes every other week. And you're going to get a crime and sports and a small-town murder, and you will get access to it all. This week, what we're going to talk about for crime and sports, the Danbury Trashers, which is, they did a documentary on it. It's very interesting. It's a minor league hockey team bought by a mobster, straight mafiosi, for his son, and it's a crazy story. They basically play like street hockey and fight all the time, and then there's criminal activity with the father and the mob, and there's indictments. It's a lot of mess, so we'll get into that. Then for Small Town Murder, we are going to talk about kind of where this is honestly where true crime podcasting became anything of a business, especially. We're going to talk about the Adnan Syed Heyman Lee case from Serial, obviously. We'll get into that, and we'll talk about what our opinions are on it now that they've let Adnan out and everything like that. And I've studied this more than is healthy for a normal human being to do. So I have a lot of opinions and a lot of stuff and a lot of little things, and I have my theory of exactly who did it, and I'll tell you who that is. I'm sure Jimmy's got his own theory there. That is patreon.com/crime and sports, and you'll get a shout out at the end of the show where Jimmy will try hard to pronounce your name properly, while probably failing miserably. That said, let's do the disclaimer. This is a comedy show.
It is.
We're comedians.
We are.
This is a murder show as well. There's going to be murder, and we're going to make jokes here and there. A lot of them, probably, because it's a comedy show. We want it to be funny. But we never make anything up for comedic effect or anything like that. And we go out of our way, try as hard as we can not to make fun of the victims or the victims' families as well.
Why, James?
Because we're assholes, but we're not scumbags. That's how that works. So if that sounds good to you, on board we go, and we're going to tell one of the wildest stories ever. And, if you think true crime and comedy should never go together, I don't know what the hell to tell you anymore. Give it a shot. It's not as bad as you think. And if you don't like it, we warned you. That's all we got to say. We're all in this together. Let's hold hands, sit back, clear the lungs, and shout, Shut up and give me murder. Let's do this, Jimmy, shall we?
Okay.
Let's go on a trip. Let's do it.
Yeah.
We are going on a trip all the way to Michigan.
Okay.
Here we go. We're going to Mayo, Michigan. Of course, it's not spelled like it sounds, because why is any town spelled like it sounds on this show?
It's spelled like those drink additives.
It's M-I-O is how it's spelled, but it's not said Mio, it's spelled Mayo. They also have a town in Michigan, I found out, that's C-L-E-O, that's not said Clio, it's spelled Clio. It's said Clio. So I said, I give up with town names. But I listen to like local news broadcasts when things happen here to see how they say it. That's how they say it there. It's Mayo.
Where is it at?
This is in lower Michigan, not up in the above part. It's in regular kind of attached Michigan. And contiguous Michigan here. And it's in northeast Michigan in that part, way up in the woods here. This place is rural. We're going to tell you the story, and you're going to go, this is a West Virginia episode, right? And I'm going to go, no, it's not a West Virginia. It's Michigan. I'm telling you. Michigan, a lot of times, except for the first episode we did there, we've been in like the suburbs a lot and things like that. This is nothing like that. This is the hills up here.
This is out in the woods.
Oh, absolutely. It's about 2 hours, almost 3 hours to Detroit.
Oh,
So,
boy.
Yeah, all the way there. About 2.5 hours to Sand Lake, Michigan, which is our last Michigan episode, which was the murder parrot. Remember that? A case solved by a talking parrot. I swear to Christ, you got to hear that if you haven't heard it.
Don't fucking shoot.
Wow, episode 270. So this is in Oscoda County, or Oscoda County. Who knows how they say it? With if M-I-O. If M-I-O is Mayo, anything is up for grabs at this point. Area code 989. History of this town. It was originally called M-I-O-E. Okay, now, see if this makes sense to you. This is from their website and everything else. Community founded in 1881, originally called M-I-O-E, Mayo, I guess, in honor of... Nobody named Mayo, mind you. Marla Desromond, the wife of the town founder, Henry Desromond.
So we called her Mayo?
I guess
Mio?
that was her nickname. I don't know what the hell's going on. You could have called it Marlaville or something. You could have done a little better than that. And there's like other founders, like, we're naming it after your wife's nickname? What are we doing here? They changed the name the next year, though. Like in 1883, they changed the name because they're like, this is confusing. Let's drop the
E.
Let's drop the E and make people confused in a different way. Let's just
because that spelling is confusing as fuck. There's too many vowels that make different noises.
M-Y-O-H, Mayo. That's how it should be if you want it to be that. That would be fine. So this Mayo holds the state record for highest recorded temperature when in 1936 it hit 112 degrees.
Really?
112 degrees in Michigan. That had to be sticky. 1973, they had a big PBB spill here. That is polybrominated biphenyl. It's contamination event caused farmers in the area, they had to kill their herds, basically.
Oh, it got in the cattle?
Yeah, they were contaminated. It contaminated cows, pigs, chickens, sheep. A dock worker accidentally shipped 500 pounds of fire retardant Firemaster brand instead of feed supply called Nutramaster.
What the shit?
They fed their animals
fire retardant.
Yeah, like insulation, basically, rather than what they would normally eat, which is not insulation.
And it ruined those things because now the meat doesn't cook.
Yeah, their normally flammable food is now not flammable, and this steak
had this.
It's been on 20 minutes. It's still bone. It's just stone
still
rare.
Blood red.
You can't put no color on it. I don't understand. I don't know. I flipped it. That's the side that was down for 20 minutes.
This bacon is still
incredible.
Soft.
It's just incredible. So imagine that. The farmers noticed deformities and sicknesses in their livestock, and so they had 35,000 cows were destroyed.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that is crazy. And 13 of them were dumped into a clay-lined pit in Mayo, and as of 2014, 40 years later, they had there was still PBB still detectable in blood tests of people in the area.
Unbelievable.
That shit never goes away.
What does that shit look like that was shipped, that was fed to these things?
This don't look like the normal food. It's normally Nutramaster. This says Firemaster, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's spicy. My cows like spicy. Like what? I don't know. They just fed it to them.
They sent us the Cajun kind.
That's blackened. I don't know. Reviews of this town.
Yeah.
Everybody loves this town in the reviews. There's no bad reviews of Mayo. Here's 5 stars. Mayo is a small town and has a lot of characters. Well, that sounds terrifying to me, doesn't
Plural?
it? Characters, yeah. They're like that's
like a sitcom.
That's old Bob, and that's we call him Hawkeye, and like I had in my town, there's those characters.
Yeah.
He only wears one strap on his overalls and never ever buttons the other one. I don't understand it. Most of the people here are friendly, but there are not many people here, all in all. Most of the people in my neighborhood are part-time residents who live down in southern Michigan or northern Ohio. And this is a lot of people have like their hunting cabin up here, their weekend place up here to come hunt and shit like that. That's a big deal in Michigan. People having a second, like a lake house or a cabin up in the people who like are middle class people have like a cabin up in the middle of nowhere in Michigan. That's like a big deal.
The Midwest, really, more people in the Midwest have that as like that's your level of success, to have that second place that's like a getaway. That's
take the family for some recreation type of deal.
Camping. camping cabin somewhere.
Here's 5 stars again.
Uh-huh.
I have lived in Mayo my whole life. I was born and raised there, and I love this town. It's a great place for kids to grow up and become successful adults. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. I don't know what they're talking about. This town, there is not all that much to offer, but it's a safe environment for kids to grow up and make lifelong friends. The school is pretty small, but it allows children to have one-on-one interactions. There's a lot of allowing here. One-on-one interactions with teachers and classmates to learn as much as they possibly can. Yeah, when there's
You're not allowed. Yeah.
When there's 6 kids in the class, you can really give them individual attention, I feel like.
You're not allowed to do that in Indianapolis. It's illegal.
Totally illegal. It allows this and it allows that. This town, there's not all much, but it is this. Okay. Population, 1,905 people. That's kind of the whole area, too. That's
tiny.
Yeah, it's small. That's like all these woods and everything else around here. It's a few more males than females, actually, which is different, but it's it's all outdoors hunting shit. So this is a place where a guy will get like his second divorce and snap and just move up here and like sit in a fucking cabin for 5 years to get his head out of his ass. And it's a place like that. Just me and my friend and my brother. We're just living up there drinking beer every night. And it's just, I needed it to clear my head. Like that's what's going on here. Median age is a 42.9, which is a little bit older than the norm. There's a lot of people in the 55 to 59 range. So that's your thrice divorced man.
Yeah, that's the fuck it guy. They should change this to fuck it Michigan.
Fuck it Michigan. I'm gonna hunt for my food. Whatever I can't catch, I'll replace with Dinty Moore. That's how that goes right here. That's it, and that's all.
FUQIT, Michigan.
I got a can of chili con carne, and I'm good for the weekend.
I got tamales in a can, and it's delicious.
It's going to be good. Some sardines, things are going to be fine. Maybe get me a buck on Monday. So family here, type of stats here, it's a little bit less married than normal, and 25% are single with children, which is a higher ratio. Racially here, it is 95.7% white.
Yeah.
In the woods in northern Michigan, who would have thunk
Weird.
it? Weird. 1% black, 0.0% Asian, 1.5% Hispanic. So it's just white. It's very white.
It's Kid Rock's band.
They have cabins up here probably. Religion in this town too. These are people who have abandoned society for the most part. So 28.3% religious. They're like, I don't need your stores. I don't need your traffic. I don't need your God. I don't need nothing. I need my cabin. And my Dinty Moore. That's what I'm going to need now. So here it is 9% Catholic. That seems to be the highest one. 0.0% Jewish. That's not happening here. Politically in this county, last election, 27.5% Democratic, 71% Republican, 1.5% Independent. The median household income here, this is for the whole household, $26,729 a year here.
What the fuck, man?
Yeah, it's normally about $54,000, so that is less than half. That's low, obviously, or it's about half. Very broke here. Cost of living, 100 is normal. That's average. Here it's about 74. The housing is the low thing, though. Median home cost here, $83,100.
Well, if you make 20 grand, you can't even do that.
It's because they're all like weird tiny cabins. That's what all the housing is here. These weird, it's all like log. It feels like you're in another century when looking at the real estate in this place. So in case you want to move to another century, we have for you, damn it, the Mayo, Michigan Real Estate Report. Your average 2-bedroom rental here goes for about $705, which seems like too much anyway, but it's
sure does.
Way less than the national average. Here's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 592 square foot abandoned hunting cabin. Yeah. That's what it looks like. It looks like somebody's grandfather died and left it, and they were like, oh, he's got a cabin where? Jesus, what a shithole. I don't know, sell it. Just put it on Zillow.
Go up there?
I'm not going up there. That place is disgusting. Just raise it or sell it if you can. It looks like no one's been there for years. I mean, years. It's awful. $35,000, though, for that. So
that's a pretty sweet deal.
If you want a place just to rough it for the week, it's better than a tent.
Yeah.
But it's got a roof and walls, so you got that covered against the weather.
A trailer is $35,000 anyway, like a travel trailer or a fifth wheel or some shit.
Yeah. If you live in
much anyway.
southern Michigan, you want to get up away in the summer for the weekend, this is a good place for it.
Take your car. You don't have to drag anything.
Here's a 1-bed, 0-bath.
What?
Shit bucket, apparently, or an outhouse or something. 980 square feet. It is a log cabin that is only framed on the inside. There's no, walls.
No,
it's just framed. No, there's a floor, but it's the walls are just framed. There's no drywall or anything like that. It's not done yet, put it that way. $129,000.
All the potential in the world.
You could make it anything you want. It could be the Taj Mahal if you really put your effort into it.
$129,000, huh?
$129,000 for that. Then I found this is like your fancy hunting cabin. This is your hardcore shit.
Oh, you've done well for yourself.
Yeah, 4-bedroom, 5-bath, T-bowl for each and every T-bowl for all the B-holes here. 3,011 square feet, huge cabin. Okay. It's a big fancy cabin, big beautiful deck with a fire pit. It looks like where they would send people to compete for something on a reality show. That's what it looks like. We're going to put you in the woods, and then by the end of it, one of you is going to get hepatitis from Bret Michaels. That's our show premise. But you're all going to live in a house in the woods.
One of you is going to be giving him insulin.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it's going to go here. 13.9 acres it's on also. So
holy shit.
Big property on top of a hill, $640,000 for that.
Oh, I was expecting you to make me bid on that. That sounds great.
That's very reasonable actually for what it is. It's real reasonable. It's not bad. Things to do here. Okay. Now we have the Aussable, A-U-S-A-B-L-E, Aussable? Aussable?
Say again?
A-U-S, Aus, Sable. So A-U-S-A-B-L-E, Aussable. Aussable? I don't know.
It's a festival?
River festival here. Yeah, I don't know if that's a river, I assume.
Feels like the name of it should tell me something. I don't know what the fuck that means.
I feel like that's the river. And they're having a festival at that river. The Aussable River Festival, I feel like, is what it is. They should really emphasize. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on here. There's a car and truck show. That's nice. Okay, that's cool. Everyone likes that. They have classic, modern, and muscle.
Sure.
You can do what you want there. They have registration for the Spikes Challenge events. I don't know what that is exactly.
You lay on them?
They have fledgling races and mentor races. I don't know what that is. You just like some old guy who helped guide you through life. Now you're going to embarrass him in the street by racing him. Take that, Grandpa. Yeah. Uncle Frank, you pussy, catch up. I'm 84 years old. Jesus Christ.
Showed me how to change oil, but you can't put one foot in front of the other.
I bought you your first car. Stumbling behind you. You have to do that. There's also rock and rest. You can rock and then rest, I guess, at the Nature Center. This is a quiet place to change diapers. That's what it literally says. The rock and rest. You can go rock and then come in here and clean some shit up, and that's a rest, apparently. It's a nice rest.
Oh, boy.
The HUP race. I don't know what the fuck that is. What's an HUP? Yeah. Beats the shit out of me. I don't know. Time trials for the Aussable River Canoe Marathon. So there's a canoe marathon. I don't know how far you have to canoe for that.
You got to, what is it, qualify? Is that
I guess so. That's the qualifying, so you see where you're placed. So how many people come back drowned out of that? We hope to get 80-90% of them back, but you never know. Then finally here, going into the evening at 4:30 p.m., the best time slot to go on for entertainment, obviously, is a band called Aldrich. I don't know who that is. Followed by Oh Brother, Big Sister. After that, and then closing out the night with the headliner, clearly, Hey Cuz. You know those are all love songs, too.
Well, yeah.
Hey Cuz, you're looking good tonight. I'm going to have sex with you.
Two-thirds of the bands are talking about relatives.
I'm not surprised at that. That's what I mean. Oh, brother, big sister. Oh, brother, yes, big sister. That's what this is. Wait till you hear what goes on here. I'm telling you, it's a fucking disaster, man.
Call Big Cuz over.
It's wild. Then there's the next day. There's more shit, obviously. They have canoe marathon that day, canoe races, marathon races. They have Limelight will be performing there from 4 to 7. Then they're going to have the Roscommon Steel Syndicate Band. what the fuck are you talking about?
This is all local shit.
Kevin B. Klein will be there. So it's not the actor coming through, just in case you're... Really? That Kevin Klein? No, not at all.
Did you say Kevin Klein or Calvin? What was that?
It's Kevin B. Klein. Oh, I don't know who that is. And then that night, we're going to also have AC/DC, which is a all-female AC/DC cover band, obviously.
I got it.
Yeah, in case people were confused.
Yeah.
And then it's closing all up with the Jabbo Billman Band.
What? AC/DC should certainly be headlining.
No.
Shit.
The Jabbo Billman Band will be the ones apparently headlining this whole thing.
Boy.
Nobody puts Jabbo in a corner. That's how this works, Jimmy. And then the next
opens for nobody.
The next day, there's a quote duck dump. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Oh,
that sounds gross.
You gotta dig through duck shit to get to the prize?
And I think so. A couple of entertainments here. They have the Love Thug on.
Yeah.
Following Love Thug, the Family Tradition Band closing it all out.
Yeah, you got to get somebody that plays all fucking Hank Williams and sounds nothing near like him. Thank you.
Wow, the Family Tradition Band. How many children are in that band?
I don't know, but it's all Hank Williams songs, so it doesn't matter. It's all.
I feel like that's like Partridge Family songs at like fucking some weird traveling family of smiley kids who are being molested in the fucking RV. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sweaters. I don't like the sounds of this at all. The Family Tradition Band.
Lots of potato sack races.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff like that. I think it's creepy, put it that way. So either way, crime rate in this town, what we're of course interested in here, property crime, you would think would be, this whole town sounds like it'd be a wild place, but property crime, right at average, right at the national average, which it should be lower, honestly, because there's nobody here, so I don't know what they're stealing. And then violent crime, murder, rape, robbery, and, of course, assault, the Mount Rushmore of crime, is just below average, which, okay, that's fine. You should get that. That said, we got to get into this because it is quite the twisted fucking tale. Let's talk about some murder. What do you say?
All right.
Let's do this. Okay. There's some shit in here I got to give credit to an author here. Darker Than Night is the name of the book by Tom Henderson. So there's some details from there. And
don't like that title at all.
Oh, boy, is this crazy shit.
That sounds awful.
I don't even know how to get into this, man. Okay, let's start right at the top. November 1985. Let's start there. Introduce you to a couple individuals. First of all is Brian, and I don't know, Ognen, Ognnjan. Brian.
Don't look at me.
Brian is his name.
Yeah.
Brian is...
Oh, that's his last name?
That's his last name. First name Brian, which is great because I can say that. So that's terrific. I can read Brian and know what the fuck that is.
Yeah.
I can identify that. So 27 years old in 1985 is Brian. There's two sons in the family. He's the youngest one. Not a big guy, 5'8", 175 pounds. You know, typical 1985. He's got like the brown eyes, brown hair, mustache. 1985 kind of guy. Works as a mechanic for Michigan Bell.
How old is he?
27.
Yeah.
Yeah, works as a mechanic for Michigan Bell, which I think is the phone company. So
I believe it is also. He's probably working on the fleet.
Yeah, I would assume on the fleet or whatever their other shit going on is. So everybody says this guy is a real perfectionist. He's real. Everything has to be just so.
That's what I want my mechanic to be.
I love that in a mechanic.
Yeah.
You want the anal retentive mechanic.
Yes.
That's the guy you want. Where he's like, I didn't know, so I did this, and I checked that too, and so I tightened this and made that, and now he'll do extra work that you didn't even pay him for just because he can't not do it.
Mechanics should have you have a gander in their toolbox before they let them work on your car, because if it is if all the sockets are where it's supposed to, hire that guy. That guy will make your car run
grease
tip-top.
Cleaned off the wrenches, shit like that. Yeah, you want that guy.
If it's a fucking disaster in there, take it down the road.
Yeah, that's a good point. They always said, like in the books I always read about, like old Hell's Angels, they'd be scumbags to the utmost degree. They'd be, have covered in feces and everything else, but boy, when they would fix their bikes up and shit, the tools would be spotless, put in play, everything, and they kept that shit right. So don't trust them with your daughter, but trust them with your motorcycle. They'll take care of that.
Yeah.
So If they don't steal it, that's another problem, but that's a whole other issue. So either way, he's a perfectionist. He's got a girlfriend named Janice, and he's had perfect attendance at work. Like he's Mr. Studious, this guy, Brian, always is. He doesn't like the other thing, too. He might have a little bit of an OCD thing because like the walls in his home have nothing on them. No, he doesn't like clutter. So his walls are bare.
No
like
decorations.
Doesn't like shit on the walls. No, because it's a...
What is that?
It's a cleanliness thing. It's a...
No.
I like it. Yeah, it's a OCD thing. Yeah, some people are like that. It's weird. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of people like that. I've known people like that. So, he refinished them and made them all nice, and he didn't want to put holes in them at that point. Okay. So he's like, the walls are all nice. Don't fuck them up with holes. That's fine. His father said he's always building things. His father's a retired Chrysler worker. He lives in Detroit, by the way. He's not from Mayo. Both guys we'll talk about at the front here are from Detroit. They live in Detroit. He said about his father, this guy is something. I bought him a toolbox when he was 10 years old. While other kids were playing baseball, he was running go-karts up and down the street.
Hell yeah.
That's my father, is what he just described. My father was like literally fixing cars when he was 10. He had a car when he was 11, and he used to drive it around the yard because he fixed it up. Yeah, that's one of those guys. So it's funny. Now let's talk about another guy, David Till or Tile, Tyll. I don't know why I can't pronounce anybody's name this week, but the town, the names,
Till, but it's
Till, David Till. So we got David and Brian. He's also 27, and he is Brian's best friend here. Yeah. Now, David, totally different background too. He's one of 13 children.
Jesus.
So, one of 2 and one of 13. Youngest of 2 and one of 13 is a...
My God.
Oh, wow. He's a tall, thin guy. Like we said, Brian is a short guy and kind of not short and fat, but just, short and a little bit stockier. And then
he and I are the exact same size.
That's, a little...
It sucks.
A little stockier. This is not fat, but yeah. And this guy's 6'2", 175 pounds.
Oh.
So if you add 2 inches and 20 pounds, you got me. So...
Yeah.
That's what they look like walking around, too. And that's what everybody says. We'll talk with comments. He's a little bit different. He's got short brown hair and a beard. Okay. The tall guy's got the beard. They flip it, though, in this one. He's married, and he works as a machinist for his father-in-law, this guy. Okay. We'll talk about that. Everybody says he's a real sensitive guy. He's a nice guy. He's just he's a good guy. His mother, Catherine, says, quote, this is from a Little League. He pitched in a Little League game when he was a kid. His mother, Catherine, said he was striking out everyone. He told me after the game that after a while he was trying to put the ball in there so the kids could at least hit it because he felt bad for them.
Oh,
even though he was dominating. So it's a certain personality type that isn't even like I'll stick it up your ass in sports. She says everybody looks up to Dave. Dave's kind of the guy. Yeah, he's always like the foreman of the work crew and stuff like that. He's kind of a leader type. And then the other guy's kind of more OCD and perfectionist type of deal.
And machinists kind of have like a team too, because you have to get things from somebody to do your job, whereas a mechanic can just do everything all alone.
You can put him in a corner. Yeah. So their mother, too, was a full-time nurse, had 13 kids, and went back to work as a nurse, Catherine.
Wow.
So that's a tough life, man. Whew, nursing and having 13 kids. Imagine being a nurse all day, then coming home to 13 kids. You'd be like, shut the fuck up in here.
I mean, it's a natural progression. I guess she's been nursing for ever.
Well, can I do it without a kid hanging on my tit? Perfect. So she said of all 13 kids, David was always the most level-headed out of anybody in the group.
Easiest.
He's the adult of the children. So growing up, David and Brian grew up together.
Really?
They made friends from the time they moved in. Brian moved to the neighborhood in the east side of Detroit in the 4th grade. Okay. And they became friends right away. They were both Boy Scouts at Troop 66 Boy Scout meeting here at the St. Raymond's Parish in northeast Detroit. They were good friends all through school here. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely. These people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked. God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Sono Bello. You know, the most known secret with celebrities and influencers and all these famous people is so many of them have had lipo. They've had lipo, whether it's a little touch-up here or a total makeover.
Yeah.
Nobody has a perfect body. That's the thing.
No.
They may look like it on TV, but there's things that help that. Absolutely. Lipo now has changed, and Sono Bello's been at the forefront with using LAL technology and getting those beautiful and natural outcomes for each person. Looking real natural. Our friends at Sono Bello are offering their best deal. You're now included in their winter savings event, but appointments are limited, so please get on this. Sono Bello doctors are masters in micro laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently. Wherever your problem areas are, tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Eating healthy and workouts are great. Keep doing that, but if you want to lose that stubborn fat in one visit, check out Sono Bello. Save big during their winter savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/smalltownmurder. That's sonobello.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
They went to Catholic school through the 9th grade, then to a public school. They did it all together. They graduated in 1976. They did everything. They hung out. They went out 21st birthday or 18th birthday at the time. They went out drinking together. They picked up girls together. They double dated all the time. They were inseparable type of deal there. Even as they grow up, no distance grows between them. From high school right through when they're 27, they're still best pals. They still live in the same area, so they were able to keep in touch and shit like that. So they'd go hunting once in a while, but they never killed anything. Everybody said like they were just as happy, they were more scenery viewers that would they like to sit in the woods and drink beer, and if a deer went by they were like, well, I don't know, I can't shoot that, it's too far, let's just have more beer. And they just didn't want to deal with they're not into killing anything really. They just wanted to go sit in the woods. They thought that was fun.
Dave, I am sorry we did not get a rack for you. It is okay, Brian. It is just your company keeping me coming out here.
You know what?
This is the beginning of
Cheers, Dave.
Brokeback Mountain.
Well, that's the thing that comes up too at some point, which is interesting here. So, but we'll find out. Okay. So they would do that. His mother, this is David's mother, said, quote, David is such a softie. He never wanted to talk about bloody things. I think things like that. I think he just liked to be outdoors and to say he went hunting.
Yeah.
They take guns and some stuff and go sit in the woods with the guns in case they got attacked by a bear or a wolverine or something. Other than that, they just sat there looking at shit.
I don't want to talk about bloody things. Stop bringing up women.
I don't like talking about bloody things. It sounds like something out of Deadwood, too. Talk about bloody things like women. That's what they would say in Deadwood. So David and Brian spent a lot of time together. They're best friends. When Dave got married, Brian was his best man when, that sort of thing. So David's married, and then they would, they would team up against the wife and a friend and Dave's girlfriend. So the guy would be men against women when they play pinochle, and they said they had secret signals they'd communicate with and shit.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So the girls would get all pissed off at him for secretly cheating. So, David is, like I said, machinist. He lives in a nice apartment in kind of an upper middle class area of Troy, outside of Detroit there. Brian is in another suburb here. So they're both living in the suburbs, have decent jobs, have relationships forming. They've they've grown up just fine, basically. Here, they're really pretty straight laced too. They don't do drugs, anything like that. Like, they both smoked some weed back in the high school and after that, but they don't even do that anymore. They just have a couple of beers and shoot pool once in a while. That's
Okay.
pretty much all they do. They work hard. They both work overtime all the time to save up for houses and shit like that. And they want to have kids someday, so they're saving up for that.
Real mature.
They have good credit. They save. They have savings accounts and good credit and all that sort of shit here. So they have girlfriend, wife. They decide this November, the weekend of November 22nd, 1985, they're going to go on a hunting trip.
Okay.
And that's because they have this cabin up here. David's father-in-law, he owns the tool and die shop where David works. It's called DeLand Manufacturing. He's got a cabin up there. So the morning of November 22nd, David called his wife and said that your dad gave me the afternoon off so he could get ready for his trip, and I'm going to go too, I think. So, we should do that. And he said, hey, you want to go to McDonald's with me? We'll go out to lunch. So there you go. I'm going to have a swinging lunch at Mickey D's with the wife. That's nice deal. So he said he's not going to really, he's talking to her about the trip. He says, yeah, I think we're going to go. I'll go for a night or two. Nothing major. They're all hanging out up there at the cabin. So it'll get old.
Fireball around the fire. It's a nice time.
Yeah, he said it'll get old quick. Well, one of them's younger brother was going to be there with a bunch of his friends who's they're like 18. So he's like, it's going to get annoying after a while. So he said he's not going to need much. He's got his Pittsburgh Steelers jacket. He's also got a green Army jacket to layer up. He's wearing jeans and a flannel shirt. He said he's going to pack his sleeping bag because the cabin gets kind of drafty at night. He's got a small duffel bag with some socks in case their feet get wet, extra gear, and that's about it. He said he'll be back about 6 o'clock Sunday night because he wants to get a good night's sleep because he's got to work overtime on Monday.
Right.
Fair enough. So over lunch, David asked Denise, you want to come with us? You want to come along? Let's do this. And she was like, I'm not sitting in the woods with you idiots drinking beer. Thanks.
Want to come hang out while I drink beer and hang out with boys that come into socks? Want to
Isn't
go?
that fun? Want to go? Fireball by the fire? She's like, no, not doing that. Absolutely not. He cashed his paycheck on the way to meet her. He gave her everything but $50 that he kept for himself for the weekend for gas money and if he needs to pick up supplies or whatever. So otherwise he gave her all the money and said, here's for bills and shit.
Very light camping trip.
Yeah, just a couple of days, maybe a night, no big deal. So David drove over to Brian's house. He got there about 2 p.m. Janice was pulling up in her car, Brian's girlfriend.
Yeah.
She worked for the post office, and she was off that day. So it's a nice house they pull up to and everything like that. Down the street, I guess it's this street runs to there. Never mind. He loved his house, though. He was very proud of it and shit like that. He's a neat freak, like we said. He refinished the walls. When they get there, Brian's sleeping. He'd worked overtime at Michigan Bell, and he worked his shift. Well, his shift was 4 to midnight. But he was working till like 4 or 5 a.m. every night working overtime. So, yeah, he was, he's still sleeping. So they wake him.
12-hour days.
Yeah, it's a brutal night. Yeah. So they wake him up about 3 p.m. David calls Denise from Brian's house and says, you sure you don't want to go? It's going to be fun. Come on. And she says, no, I'm going to go shopping with my sister. Which he's like, great, that's fine. So I guess he would always ask her to go along, too, if you want to come with the three of them. Like, we'll make it just the three of us then. Who cares? And anyway, David asks her, you want me to call you later tonight? He goes, they don't have a phone up there at the cabin, and it's a 20-minute drive to the nearest payphone at the time. So she said, don't drive through the woods in 20 minutes and you're going to hit a fucking
40-minute round trip to make a phone call.
In the pitch black through the woods, you're going to hit a deer. Don't bother. That's crazy.
Why would you?
So she said, don't worry. He's like, okay. So she doesn't expect to hear from him that night. They're going to go up hunting. If he calls sometime Saturday, great. Otherwise, she'll see him Sunday. No worries. So I guess Brian and Janice, they had been talking about marriage at this point. Brian had been saving up money. He's got stock accounts and shit like that. He's very frugal as well with his things. He wants to save up money. He works a lot of overtime. He wants a bigger, nicer house that he's looking forward to. So he gets his gear together. He's got a Marlin 35 caliber model number 336C lever action rifle in his sleeping bag and his sleeping bag. He's got enough clothes for the weekend. And they both get into David's 1980 black Ford Bronco.
Okay.
80 black Ford Bronco, 4-speed manual, by the way, in case you're wondering.
Is that right?
Yes, it is. David has his clothes. He's got a 12-gauge pump-action Ithaca shotgun.
Very cool.
Very cool. So he told Janice, see you Sunday. There you go. Later, babe. And they take off for a wonderful... I mean, this is a guy's outing, man. We're going to go out. We're going to drink beer and hold guns and sit there. And we're not going to shoot anything. We're just going to bullshit and, eat beef jerky and talk about vaginas. You know how it goes.
One's got a shotgun and the other's got a Marlin. Like,
what are they? Different hunting styles.
Yeah,
I was just going to say, I'm not
entirely different things that we're shooting at.
Yeah, I'm not an expert deer hunter, but in upstate New York, there's a lot of deer hunting. You don't normally take a shotgun for that because it's shotgun's more of a up close and or a bird.
I mean, they make buckshot to shoot bucks, but for Christ's sake, you got to be pretty close to hit that.
That's what I mean. I think you're probably better off with a rifle. I see people going with rifles is what I'm getting at when they're going hunting. It's more of a rifle thing here. So they left here. The Tile family cabin is near White Cloud, which is a small town on the western side of the state there. Now, they have a buddy of theirs, too, who was... supposed to go with them. A guy named Daniel Jacob. He would hang out with Brian most of the time, but his mother got sick and he had to take care of her, so he canceled.
Oh, sorry, Dan.
And another friend, Richard Musto, he said he was going to go too, but a day or two earlier he said that he couldn't because he had to work that day. He couldn't get off from the car. He was like an auto mechanic or something. So David's father, Art, and one of his brothers, Archie, were already at the cabin hunting. They'd gone up early. They're already there. Now, before they left, Brian was telling his dad that he's going to win his money back from and in poker that he lost to him earlier in the summer when they were up there, and it's going to be a fun environment. We're going to talk some trash. We're going to have a good fucking time over here.
Yeah,
it sounds like a lot of fun. So now, like we said, David has never. They go hunting all the time, and David has never actually shot a deer. Which is,
I don't blame him.
Yeah, he's never actually shot one. He just goes and sits in the woods. So most people, like hunters, are like they're super into actually killing the deer. That's what they're there for. But he's just like, I don't know. I just like to sit in a tree. They like a tree stand, and they're like, "This is good," I
come out here because it's quiet. I don't want to break that quiet with a shotgun blast. For Christ's sake,
be so loud. Then you got to pick it up and drag it and shit. That's a lot.
Hang it from a tree and bleed it and shit. No thanks.
Yeah, and Brian's the same way. He just wants to go sit in the woods and drink beer and play cards with the guys. That's all he's interested in here. His girlfriend Janice would say about him and David, quote, "They seen a deer, they wouldn't shoot it,
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, he doesn't.
Fun.
Yeah, she is fun. He told Janice that he'd seen many a deer walking by over the years, but they just never shoot the deer when they walk. But they go, we'll see a deer walk right in front of us, and we're just like, well, he looks like he's going about his business.
Yeah, I got a feeling if I went out there to hunt, I'd be looking at it through the binoculars, going, shh. Don't you dare shoot that. Yeah. It's fucking amazing. Do you see it? Do you see it?
Yeah, we put deer food out so we can see them. And we put camera things, little trail cameras in by the food so we can go, look at them go. And where do we watch them eat? They're like, look at them eating. It's awesome. We get these big bucks and shit. Yeah. I know. I like them. They're fucking majestic. Yeah. So, I mean, some of the people that live up here, I think they...
Yeah, that's how they survive.
I think they're supplemental. But, just
that's how they get protein.
For recreation, it's not my thing, but whatever.
I understand. I get it. Good for you. Good. I'm not going with you.
They didn't even get deer licenses. They didn't even get hunting licenses.
That's guaranteeing they're not going to shoot one.
Well, they thought that if you're on private property, you don't need a hunting license, which isn't the truth, actually. The law is you have to take one there. But either way, he didn't do that. So they had planned to go on this trip the previous weekend, but they didn't. That was the opening weekend of hunting season, but they ended up going this weekend. Now,
that weekend anyway.
Yeah. Now, people said, though, the thing about these guys is, like Brian, even though he's so orderly and so kind of anal, they said he's also very, kind of will go by the seat of his pants, too. He's very spontaneous, which is an odd thing. They said that he was not opposed to just flights of fancy of just going off and doing something. One of his friends says that's how they were. He said they'd just go off somewhere. They'd go on a whim and drive some place for 2 days and just go hang out and do shit like that. They'd spend a couple days living out of their car for just like hanging out in a park or something.
See anything wrong with that?
Strange, yeah, but I mean they're on a whim. They can do that. I mean, they don't have kids, so this is the time to do it. Later on, you will not be able to do it.
Right.
So if you have like 2-3 kids, tell your wife, "No, me and my buddy just decided on a whim to go hang out in the woods for the night." She'll be like, "I will stab you in the throat if you don't come home right fucking now. Do you understand that this one has Little League and this one has fucking dance and this one has this and I can't do it all, you cocksucker." You're like, "Okay, never mind. Can't do that."
I'll be back.
Yeah. So David's father, Arthur, who is a retired Detroit firefighter, said they were, up there waiting for him, and that's how it was all going. So about 5 p.m., David called Matt and told him that they were coming up, but it might not be till Saturday. Okay. Matt and his buddies were just getting ready to leave at that point. So, because they said it might not be till Saturday, so they're wondering they might have they weren't going to go right to the cabin. Maybe they were going to go do something else. Uh-huh. So we'll put it this way. I'll give you kind of the route, so if people from around there might know. They apparently several hours later, Matt and his friends dropped their gear off at the cabin and then headed out to a bar in White Cloud. So they dropped their shit off, went out to a bar. They left David and Brian a note saying where they'll be in case they got into the cabin and they can come out to the bar and hang out with them. They never did, though. They didn't show up at the bar, David and Brian. When Matt and his friends got back to the cabin, there's no sign of his brother or there's no sign of David or Brian at all. So
they haven't gotten there yet either.
Saturday, they don't show up either.
Oh.
Where the fuck are they? Sunday, he doesn't show up. Neither of them, Brian or Matt, don't show up.
Huh.
Where the fuck are they? They haven't contacted anybody, and they haven't showed up.
Huh.
So Matt and his father weren't worried, though. They said because there's no phone up there. So they figure, well, no one could get a hold of us to tell us. So, they couldn't be like, oh, we changed our minds or we, whatever, the truck broke down. So they must have just changed their minds. They figured that they probably just decided to stay home. Pussies. They don't want to shoot deer anyway. Yeah. So anyway, they said that Matt said that they know before this hunting trip was even, when they were talking about this hunting trip, they were talking about going up north instead anyway, like northern Michigan.
Further north?
Further north than this. So he knew David was having second thoughts because he said there was too many people in there and all of his friends were going to be there and it's going to be too cramped and all that kind of shit. So now, by the time 6 p.m. on Sunday comes, when everybody's supposed to be home, Brian isn't home, and Janice starts to get worried now.
Sure.
He's pretty meticulous about coming home and shit like that. He hadn't called. She didn't expect him to call, but what the fuck, basically. He's not going to... What's happening? Like, why isn't he at least here by now? He's very... And the other guys, David's very responsible, too. He'd call his wife if he was going to be late. 10 p.m. comes around. Denise still hasn't heard from him on Sunday night. He's supposed to be home by 6. So she's like, this is strange. So Denise calls her father to make sure that she hadn't misunderstood Dave. She said, well, maybe because he works with her father. So she said, well, maybe he got off work Monday too, and maybe they weren't coming back till Monday night, and I misunderstood. Maybe I just fucked it up. So PTO. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. And her father said, no, everybody's due first. We all got to be at work first thing Monday morning. Got a bunch of shit to do.
All. Yeah.
Yep. So she called her in-laws, and Matt answered. He was already back from the cabin, the brother Matt. She asked Matt, what time did Dave leave? And Matt says, about the same time I did.
Well, what the fuck, Matt?
Okay. He was vague when she asked him what time that was. He was like, I don't remember. It was, sort of.
He's being a mensch.
It was like
great guy.
It was like duskish. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
maybe. I think it was
Matt.
light, but there could have been some orange rays in the sky. I'm not positive.
That's my boy, Matt.
I was a little bit dizzy. There was a lot of exhaust fumes because people were starting their cars up, and I was very confused of what happened. But I clearly remember a guy who I think was Dave. I'm not positive, though. I could be wrong, but I think he left either a little before or a little after me, which could be either the morning, the afternoon, or even the darkness. I'm not positive.
And now we are best friends.
So there you go.
That's my guy.
Yep, and that's exactly what he was doing.
Yep.
She freaks out. She's like, that's weird. What the fuck? Why can't he nail down a time? So by 1 a.m., she's freaking out. Now she calls the state police to find out if there's been any accidents or, was there a hunting accident? Did a car flip over in a gully? Should you look for a black Bronco flipped over in the woods or something? And they said, we have had no reports of anything like that. She couldn't sleep, obviously. She sat up. Next day comes. She went to work because she had to go to work. She got there. Her mother-in-law calls her at work, okay? Her mother-in-law calls to go, hey, this is Kathy. Just wanted to say, Matt has something he needs to tell you. Matt has a confession. They never showed up at the cabin. He lied to you because he was trying to cover for his brother in case he was up to shenanigans. That's for an 18-year-old kid to think on the fly like that is pretty impressive, I got to say. That is
proud of you, Matt.
That is the wingiest of wingmen right there. That is not
the bummer
bad.
is that you did it at the wrong time,
Exact
but you did the
wrong
right
time.
thing. Yeah.
Exact wrong time. This is the problem with lying. You never know. It could be nothing. It could be murder. It could be an affair. It could be, we never know.
The bummer is we just found out your allegiance in the wrong time.
Not great. So, he didn't want to get David in trouble with her, basically. So now, I guess his dad, Matt and Dave's dad, Archie, and they were still at the Archie and their dad, because Archie's the brother. Right. The brother and his dad are still at the cabin, and they hadn't showed up on Monday either.
Oh, my God.
So now no one's seen him at all. Denise calls another of David's brothers, if you remember, he's from a big family, Larry, who was Brian's roommate. Mm-hmm. Okay? Brian hadn't come home yet either, and he hadn't called over the weekend. So no one's heard from either one of them. Denise tells her boss, I have to leave work. I have to go over to the Troy Police Department to file a missing persons report. So lets her out of work. Janice calls Brian's parents in Florida and tries to file. She said she tried to file a report with the police department, but she's not a relative, so they wouldn't take one.
So I need you guys to do it.
So if all your relatives are dead, you can never be missing, apparently. Because no one's
Florida?
The parents were in Florida.
I know.
Yeah. It's fucking ridiculous.
So they have to, she's telling them you have to file.
You have to call and file because you're their parents. It's ridiculous.
Meanwhile, I'm the girlfriend and I live with him, so.
It's the relevant person to call because I know he's missing. They wouldn't know he's missing for a month, probably.
They're in fucking Florida.
At 2:30 p.m., she called the state police in Pontiac again to ask if they knew of any accidents and anything come up. Anybody come across anything? They hadn't. Janice checks with her bank. Brian cashed the check he had in St. Clair Shores on Friday. Okay. So he cashed his check, or the check. She had given him a check for $60, and he cashed that on the way out. So the week goes by, okay? The week goes by. This is Thanksgiving week coming up.
Oh, no.
Monday, and then Thursday is Thanksgiving from that Monday that he's missing. So
this is a camping trip and hunting trip the weekend before Thanksgiving, and he has $60 to his name at the moment.
Yes, $60 to his name, and he is in the wind, we'll put it. So over the weekend, rather than celebrate because people are missing, Janice, Denise, Matt, and Janice's Uncle Dick, baby. Yeah, Uncle Dick's there.
Yeah.
They all drive up to the cabin, to the Tile family cabin. They're going to do some investigating because the police are just like, well, we'll let you know if they turn up. Like, we find their corpses. You'll be the first we call.
That's all they do.
That's it. So they said that we'll drive up there. Maybe something happened. Let's try to find out what's going on. Maybe they gone somewhere else first, then swung by the cabin after everybody left. So maybe that's why they didn't see him. Maybe something happened to their car. Maybe they're stuck in the woods with no phone. Maybe there's a note that they left that fell off somewhere, that fell off a table and went under a thing, and we'll look around for it. Who knows, right?
Sure.
Scour. So no sign of them at the cabin, no trace of them. They ask around. They go to the Cozy Bar, the Drift Inn, and the Highway Bar. These are the three bars in this White Cloud.
They're all like blowing through names.
They also, it might as well be the Drifter Inn, the Highwayman Inn, and the Don't Get Too Cozy Bar. Because you're moving, don't get too cozy because you're moving on bar.
The temporary bar stool bar and everything included. That's crazy.
Jesus Christ. They'd show pictures around. Sometimes people just say no. Sometimes they go, I might have seen him. It's never like, I talked to that guy for 10 minutes. It's always like, sort of. Everybody
They
in
vaguely look like
everybody in 1985 sort of has brown hair and a mustache, so I'm not sure exactly.
Those look like a person, that's for sure.
That's right. It is, man. So they're like, shit. There's no real like concrete evidence that they were there or they weren't there. They can't find anything, basically. They stop by the state police. They stop by the local radio stations and the local newspaper and say, can you help? And they go, sure. It's a small area. They say they'll put the word out. They have no idea. This is like complicated area to get around in. There's more highways through this area now, but back then it was just little roads, and some of them paved and some of them dead ends, and just not a real easy area to get around in here. They even hired a pilot. They hired a pilot. The plane was too small for everybody, so Matt got in and had the pilot fly around White Cloud because he knows the area better than just the girls do, and over the Hardy Dam. They didn't know what they were looking for, but they're trying to find anything. They're trying to see if they can see like a black Ford Bronco's roof sticking out of a lake, or somewhere parked in the woods in an open patch or something. That's anything, basically. Guys down there with like a fire waving their hands going, help me, written in rocks or some shit. It's anything, the signal. So they do. They do all this. They're looking for everything. They see nothing. They said that they figured they never showed up in White Cloud by the end. They said nobody who definitively saw them. They didn't come to the cabin, so they would have had to go somewhere where people would have saw them. Nobody said, yes, I know those two strangers at all. Right. So they said they probably didn't come here. They said, too, you'd notice them when they're hanging out together because they said they were a real Mutt and Jeff pair, basically. They said you'd know it. That one's tall and thin, one's short and a little squattier. They're the way that you just notice them together. It's one of those deals. Yeah. So it's worked for us for all these years.
It's been going great. It really has.
It's working for them too. They were just ahead of their time. That's all. Too bad there's no podcast. They would have done great.
They could have done a We Don't Really Hunt podcast.
Yeah, the non-hunting hunt, the peaceful hunters.
The vegan hunters. Here we go.
No ammo hunters. Here we go. We take our guns, but they ain't loaded. Man.
We'll beat the shit out of a 12-pack.
You know we will, man. So anyway, they basically they tried to find them. They couldn't find them. Once like the media started getting involved, then all of a sudden there was all these sightings places. People had seen them places, but nowhere they had asked. Anyway, time passes. They don't find him that weekend. More time passes. Denise keeps checking David's credit card statements, hoping for like he swiped it in British Columbia or something. He's down in Mexico, kicking it, some shit. She'd rather he be like alive and well and an asshole than
down the beach somewhere.
Than dead in a tree. She checked his bank account all the time. She'd go to the bank, check his bank account. Never a penny less, never a penny more, same balance. So just disappeared. So they're missing. I mean, a month goes by. 2 months goes by.
Oh, my God.
They're missing. They're looking for
leads.
A 1980 black Ford Bronco, license plate 447 HRZ. They said, I mean, it's out in this part of the state. That fucking thing could be anywhere. You could drive this thing into the woods, put a tarp on it. Nobody would ever goddamn see it. Put a few sticks on it. You could submerge it in one of the million lakes around here. Nobody would know. Like, it's difficult here. So they said if it's in the woods, they said it should have turned up by now, though, after a couple months, because they said there's just so much activity in these woods.
Right. The hunting season has populated those woods like crazy.
Yeah, the sheriff said with all the RVs and snowmobiles and hunters and mushroom pickers, there are too many people in the woods nowadays for it to go unnoticed. With the growth up here, there aren't very many really remote regions anymore. People they're in all the regions, and they did multiple aerial searches. They also got the Department of Natural Resources as well to help them, because this is from one of the cops here. He says those DNR guys, they count deer. Do not resuscitate them. They count deer, and if they can see deer in the snow, they could stumble across a large black car, what he said. So they said unless it's underwater, and they said underwater would be a different story. Then it might not ever be found. They've used some sonar equipment to do some of the ponds and lakes and dams, but you can't get to all of it. These are huge lakes up there. You can't go through all of them with sonar. It would take years to do that. So The mother here, Catherine Tile, David's mother, she said, people don't just disappear. Like, what the fuck? Like, they got to be somewhere. The detective from the St. Clair Shores Police said most missing people are found about a time a report is made. He said, I've never had a missing persons case where there was no lead or anything. They've never had it where it's just thin air. Usually it's, I saw that guy, and then he left the store and he disappeared. You know what I mean? If you look at, like, Serial, people are like, Heyman Lee was at school at this time.
Yep.
And then she wasn't, but they saw her at school. This is just like, I don't know, she left in the morning and disappeared into thin air. No one ever saw her again.
Really starting to believe that David Blaine guy.
Yeah, oh shit, he's magic. So he said that's never happened. He said everyone says you've got to be realistic, but you don't have to be realistic, is what Catherine says. That's the mother, David's mother. She said, I don't want to be realistic. I want to find my kid.
Right.
So I'd like some proof of something. So they haven't been able to find the vehicle. They can't find one of their 22 caliber that they had. They can't find that. They eventually find it in the woods, actually.
His pistol?
Yes, the 22 caliber, which led to a theory that they might have been victims of a man named Joel Paul Hanna. Oh. Okay? Joel Paul Hanna was a suspect in the shooting death of an Otsego County Sheriff's deputy and in the disappearance of a 75-year-old turkey hunter named Roger Walstead. They said that the deputy was shot with a .22, was found, and the hunter was last seen the day after the deputy was shot. And they said this guy fled Michigan in Walstead's van and then was shot to death a few days later by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation agent.
So we have no idea what that guy did in that time because we
no
can't
clue.
Fucking question for anything.
Nope. We know he killed those two people, but that's it. They said that somehow the turkey hunter's body is still missing as well, as is the gun used in the shooting of the deputy. So the one deputy said it's just a thought. We don't want to blow it out of proportion. So far, we haven't been able to verify something, but that's the working theory there. Maybe it was that guy.
Yeah.
Or here's another theory. This is from one of the investigators in the area. He says maybe they pulled off the road, decided to sleep in the Bronco, and were asphyxiated to death.
Okay.
That could have happened. He said, quote, they've slept in a vehicle many a time, but they said, well, then where'd the vehicle go is the other thing. Like, that could have happened, but let's pull off somewhere where no one will ever find us and then die and then stay there forever.
The car doesn't get asphyxiated and turn into dust.
Yeah.
It sticks around.
It runs, then when it runs out of gas, it just poof, it turns into glitter. And the car and the bodies inside it disappear. Look for a pile of glitter, y'all. Everybody look for glitter.
The metallic part of the paint doesn't ever go away.
It's there. That's all that's left of it. Hey, everybody. Just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit more about our stylish friends at Quince. That's right. Let's go elevate your styles, people. Yeah. Get it going. Look good out there. And you can do it now without breaking your wallet, without breaking the bank, because at Quince, you can get high-end, versatile pieces at prices we can all actually afford, which is very nice. You want to get good stuff that lasts and it's good, and they have quality stuff that's very affordable. And you can do like we did, upgrading our stuff here, while still being a very reasonable price. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. It's all quality stuff. You're going to love it. Trust us, it looks good. And I've got the leather jacket. It's a very high-quality item. Real nice, soft leather. Yeah. Jimmy's got his linen pants he's rocking.
Yeah. They're terrific.
Come on, be like us. Be fashionable. Get in there with Quince. Indulge in affordable luxury. Go to quince.com/smalltownmurder for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/smalltownmurder to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about a very cool place, Thrive Market. Yes, we are both looking to get into the healthy swing this year. The problem is I don't know what's in everything, and I don't know if even I'm qualified to even read the labels to know if that's good or that's bad. Right. There's chemicals in things, and there's things floating around. I don't know what I'm doing out there. One of my favorite features, and I know you were talking to me about this, is the Healthy Swap Scanner in the Thrive Market app. Yeah, it's simple. You scan any item, and it'll instantly suggest a cleaner, healthier grocery alternative, which is
it's great.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. Thrive Market also takes the guesswork out of finding these safe, healthy foods. For example, like I'm trying to get my protein intake up.
Yeah.
For energy. I'm always moving around. I need stuff. And I love that you can filter their site by the high protein options.
Nice.
It's very cool. And you can personalize this portion and you can put filters on it. And get ready. You should be ready for a junk-free start to 2025. Get ready for it and head to thrivemarket.com/smalltownmurder and get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/smalltownmurder, thrivemarket.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
So they said, quote, we didn't come across anything to lead us to believe they were involved in criminal activity, which means like somebody would take them out there and kill them. Like they weren't like no hitmen came for them. He just said they also asked the whole family, is there any chance that these two were having a Brokeback Mountain relationship?
Yeah.
Not in those words
together.
at the time, but they said, are they having, is it possible? You told us how close they are for all these years. Is it possible that they're having a gay relationship on the down low and they're going out there and having a tryst and they could be, maybe they ran away together to open up a little tiny tea house in a small town in Wisconsin.
Fucking ballsy question.
Yeah, and then they were like, they said, not that we know, we didn't believe that was possible. They both the women said, no, they seem to be pretty into us as women and stuff. I mean, you never know, but they didn't think so, basically. All their friends said they never got that vibe or anything like that. So
you're saying they went out hunting, never came back with a deer ever?
Ever? That sounds pretty gay.
I have another question.
Yeah, they just like to sit in the woods together, you say. They also said that maybe they just left. Maybe they could have left. They said that Brian had talked about how he hated winter. So obviously that means he'll abandon everything he's been doing in his whole life, his house that he's refinished the walls on and his whole plan, his stock portfolio and everything like that, because fuck winter. Just ran away.
What is he, a world war?
Yeah.
Quits at winter?
What the hell is that about? So they said that David also had some trying moments in his marriage here with Denise. They actually were separated for a month a couple of years back. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe they, between the two of them, I hate winter. I hate my wife. Cool, let's leave forever. And they just got in a fucking Bronco and took off. That's it. We're gone now. With $120 between us, we'll start a new life. Like a new gayer, brighter future for the two of us. What the fuck are you talking about? Bad theory. What a terrible theory. They said, no money's been drawn from their accounts. No credit cards have been used. No new credit cards have been opened in either of their names. So
that's 4 tanks of gas in a Bronco. You better figure it the fuck out fast.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. And they say, too, when two people plan to drop out of sight and they're not in a romantic relationship, one of them usually gets cold feet, they said. Usually one will take off and one will stay. And they said that's another thing about Brian. This is the girlfriend, Janice. That's another thing about Brian. When he wanted to make a decision, 90% of the time he had to go back and forth. So basically they're saying the father says everybody's got their own theory. Early reports had them spotted buying Christmas trees in Cadillac, Michigan, like in bulk, like a bulk Christmas trees. I need a bunch of Christmas trees.
They've got $120. That's one tree.
People saw them at a craps table in Las Vegas. They were seen at the Oakland County, that's in Michigan, Oakland County Mall eating hamburgers in the food court. A psychic urged police to check lakes and streams. She felt that the vibrations of water is around the body. That's what she felt. So that's a thing there. Now, here we go. Did they change their minds about going to the cabin and go somewhere else? Now, they're talking about routes, so I have no idea about any of this. This is strictly for Michigan people the next minute here. They said today the Walter Reuther Freeway runs due west out of St. Clair Shores and connects to I-75, which goes north, and to I-96, which goes west. In 1985, these two guys could have gone either west to I-75 on the surface street, 8 Mile Road, or if they wanted to avoid red lights and all that kind of shit, they could have looped miles out of their way, heading downtown on I-94 till they came to I-75 or US 10, which would connect them to I-96. So Jason Fuller, our trucker listener in Detroit, is the only person who understands all of that, probably.
And Eminem.
And Eminem, exactly. So either way, they could have decided to start out and kind of try to decide where they were going. Are we going north or are we going west? And they said maybe they didn't know what to do. They said they got there, they could have gone either way at an exit ramp. They could have gone this way or that way. One way is to White Cloud, one way is to Mayo. Who knows where they went? So they said that it would have been typical for them to change their minds at the last minute and go somewhere else. They just thought that was fun to be like, they have their directional on to go right, to go to the cabin that they're planning on, and one of them will go, fuck it, just go left and we'll go over here, and they'll go, fucking awesome, and they'll just do it. You know what I mean? Like they said that was kind of how they operated. So it'd be kind of fun. They said, so we don't know which way they went. They said if maybe they would go north, maybe get a hotel room. They have a friend of theirs that lives up north near Mayo named Dave Gallup, so maybe they met up with him, sat in the woods. Maybe they went to a bar. Check it out. So
who knows? Yeah.
This is what we know here. Okay. Here's Larry Barker. Okay. Larry Barker lives 2 miles northwest of Mayo at 820 Cherry Creek Road. He and his sons were hauling some firewood into the house when a dark-colored, black or dark blue, Ford Bronco pulled into the driveway. This is back when they were missing in November. Barker, he said he didn't check the time, but it had been dark out, but not for too long. So it was maybe around 8 o'clock. He sounds like he's trying to cover for people, too.
Yeah,
I mean, it was dark out, but I don't think for too long. So, I mean, anytime between, say, 6 and 1 a.m., anytime in there. He said by the time later on, too, because he was asked about this months later, as we'll find out, he said he didn't know whether it had been Friday, November 22nd or Saturday, November 23rd. It was one of the 2 days. But he said the Bronco pulled in and just sat in the driveway. So Larry walked over to the driver's window, and the driver rolled it down, and Larry said, "Can I help you?" And he said there were 2 young guys in the car. One of them was holding a map. Okay. And the guy said, "Yeah, well, we're kind of confused." And the guy, Barker, the guy whose house we're at here, he said he laughed and he said, quote, "You got it upside down." And he reached and turned the map over and go, "That's the way the map goes. So north faces that way." And they told him, "We got directions from the bar, so we don't know where the fuck we're going here." They were looking for a road named Camp 10. That's the road they're looking for. And he said, "Do you know where Camp 10 is?" Which is a road that you'd have to be local to know, I guess. It's one of those, the little one. And the guy told him it's the next paved road down. So these are confusing directions when there's a lot of little intertwining roads, though.
And when you're holding the map the other way and the right looks like a left.
Yeah, that's the thing. And they even said, too, the end of their destination, they were going to a cabin off of M55, which is a major east-west road in northern Michigan. Barker tried to talk them through it, this guy. He said, after Camp 10, you'd hit M72, which is another east-west road here, north of 55. That'll take you to 18, which will take you south to Roscommon. And then from there, you go, it's a short hop over to the 55. So this is like, I would be like, let's just go home. We're going to go home now. Never mind.
Let's
That's
go back
too much.
to the bar.
Yeah, this sounds like in Funny Farm. Like, go down to where the old barn used to be.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay. So anyway, they bullshitted for a while. Larry, the homeowner, and his sons, and these guys bullshitted. The guys here, they said they were super happy to be up here, up north. It's beautiful. We're up here hunting. Larry said they weren't drunk, but you could smell that they've been drinking. Yeah. He smelled some beer in the car, and they were just happy, kind of happy-go-lucky. Mm-hmm. He said also you could see a cardboard 12-pack container in the back seat. So he said they were nice guys, seemed like fun guys, nice guys. They said they were out there about 15 minutes. Then Larry's wife came to the front door, and there was that. So finally, the guys just said thanks a lot. They rolled up the map and rolled up the window, and they backed out of the driveway, headed back down the road. And they said if the Bronco went the right way, they would have run into Camp 10, and everything would have went fine. So the timeline is, if the Bronco went the wrong way, though. This is the thing. If it went the wrong way, it would have run into Mapes Road. By the way, this gets really insane, and we're not going to talk about directions for a while. This is just some factual setup, and then we're going to get into some shit like you've never heard before. I'm telling you right fucking now. Buckle up, everybody. So this road runs parallel to Camp 10 Road.
Mapes does?
Mapes does, but they're about 3 miles apart, but they're running parallel, okay? There were a few paved roads in the area, a bunch of dirt roads, a bunch of trails and shit like that. If the Bronco had gone toward Mapes by mistake and they turned onto it, they could have driven by Linker's Lost Creek Lodge, okay? Listen to how far in the middle of fucking nowhere this bar is. Think about who's hanging out here. This is a rugged crowd. So, yeah, and they said, too, the guy with his sons with the firewood said they didn't, like, stare at their taillights to see which way they turned. They went back to their firewood, so they have no fucking idea what happened.
We gave him the directions. Get the fuck out of here.
Then this guy, Barker, a month later, he sees them on TV as missing, and he goes, that's the fucking guys from the goddamn Bronx. Remember those? And the kids are like, shit, yeah, we talked to those guys.
Remember those guys in the driveway?
Yeah, beer-smelling gentlemen here. He said, quote, man, those the guys that were in my driveway. Holy shit. And then he called the cops and said, I know those guys here. So this helps a lot because it puts them in one definitive place. They didn't drive like south or in Missouri. They know they were in this area.
At a roundabout time.
Yes. So they also start asking other people in this area because they never knew to look in this area because it's a way far away from where they were supposed to be going.
Right.
The owners of Walker's Bar and Bowling Alley in Mayo. Yeah, buddy. Bar and bowling alley. That's the one. People live here. They die here. They get their mail here.
I mean, you could say one or the other of those. You don't need to say both of them.
Well, bowling alley implies there's a bar in it, probably, right?
Yeah. That's my point. Yeah. You if you say bar, I guess you
in
can
the Midwest.
qualify that with bowling, but you could just say bowling because we know there's a full bar.
We get it. So Paul and Beverly Pasternak, they lived upstairs and I guess run the bowling alley.
Yeah.
So they saw the hunters twice, they said, Brian and David.
Oh.
They saw them twice, once at night and then the next afternoon as well. So
Came back through.
So they spent the night in this area. Beverly said she talked to them in conversation both times. That's why she remembers they were here. Their daughter, Brenda, who also worked there, said that she talked to them too. She remembered them specifically because they started playing pool with a guy known as Coke.
Yeah.
Okay. Coke is the thickness of his glasses. That's why they call him Coke.
Got it.
So every guy nickname is never complimentary. It's always, what's your worst feature? All right, we're going to call you that.
Yeah.
Fucking horrible. Come here, lazy eye. Let me talk to you for a minute. Not creative, but definitely mean. She said that Coke was a tough guy and very unpredictable. She said, quote, Coke was the kind of guy you kept your eye on. So, yeah, so she did. She said she kept her eye on him and the hunters to make sure that no bullshit started over there. Because, they're keeping tabs on shit in the bar. David Welch is a guy who lived in Mayo. He went to Walker's all the time, bowling alley bar, and they said that he was like the Norm Peterson of the place, which means he was there every day.
Everybody knows who he is, yeah.
He's literally getting his mail there. He's eating lunch there and then hanging out and drinking all night there type of thing. He's an unemployed construction worker who's there 7 nights a week.
Well, how do you afford that?
That's what I mean. To drink in a bar is way more expensive to drink at home.
Way more.
Way more expensive. I mean, you could get, it's ridiculous. From one night of drinking in a bar, you could drink for 2 weeks at home. And
unless it's one of those places where beer is nothing, you know what I mean? Like
it's a bowling
penny
alley,
nights,
so
but
I'm sure
expensive.
they have some kind of Pabst that's fucking some kind of shit that's a quarter for drafts or something. And he sits and drinks it, but still, even that you would imagine,
that's a lot.
Unemployed. So he said he was eating in the restaurant section at 8:30, maybe 9.
Ew.
Jesus. He said he's pretty sure it was Saturday night, the 23rd, but it possibly could have been Friday, but he thinks it was Saturday. Okay. He said 2 young guys walked in. When he was done eating, he walked over and sat down next to them at the bar and introduced himself. Yeah. Get the fuck away from me. How's that?
Hey, guys, I just had a grilled cheese. What's your name?
Yeah. Hi. Well, fuck you. Go away from me. If you do this in a city, it'll get you stabbed in 5 minutes. They'll stab you with a fork from their fucking appetizer. They don't even care. This is like, get away from me. Why are you talking to me? So, sat down, introduced themselves, and they said their names were David Tyle and Brian Ognanjan, or whatever his name, Ognanjan. So he said they were up hunting. They drove up in Dave's Bronco. They were staying over at Ma Teeter's place. Ma Teeter.
Jesus.
Sounds like that's like what a hillbilly would call their tit. My left tater's itchy. Hold on a minute. My left tater. Jesus, this is in Luzerne, which is 8 miles to the east. They're renting a room out. There's a place called Ma Teeters that you can rent a room from.
Jesus Christ.
He said David did a lot of the talking. He was real easy to keep a conversation going there. Something tells me this guy can keep a conversation going with anybody if he's just
or by
lonely.
himself.
He's just lonely, man.
Yeah.
They said, well, why if you're staying at Ma Teeters, which is a lodge and restaurant, why are you drinking in Mayo? What's going on about that? And aren't you worried about driving home? He said he told him, quote, the law in Mayo is pretty stiff on drinking and driving. And he said, they know where the fuck people are, and the cops just sit and wait down the road down from the bars for people to pull out of the bar and then pull them over. So, I mean,
see if you swerve and take you to jail.
Probably watch out for that. And they told him, David told them, looking for women. That's what we're doing. There's no women there.
Oh, weird.
What fucking women are going to be at the Linkers Lodge, whatever the shit, in the middle, or the Walker's bowling alley in the middle of the woods?
But
what women are there?
You both got women back in Detroit. What are we doing?
That's another point. But so it's a bad idea for every aspect,
Yeah.
but what the fuck? So anyway, yeah, they're looking for women is what they said. We're looking for broads. That's what's going on.
Patrolling for pussy.
They said there's not a lot of women here, but there's more than in Luzerne. And they thought maybe they'd find some action near there at Linkers as well. Linkers had a band going on, and they said, what the hell? They also said they ought to go. The guy told them they should go through Northwood if they wanted some action. All the hot girls are in Northwood. Northwood's known for loose women and good times, obviously.
Yeah.
That's about 1.5 miles up the road, Northwood Gardens. And he said Walker's isn't really a place for it. It's a bowling alley. This isn't the place for chicks. Know what I mean?
There's an 8-year-old's birthday right there.
No shit. They said they had a couple of buddies who went to school. They went to school with who had moved up to this area. One's in South Branch, one's in Luzerne, and they asked this Welch guy if he knew either of them, and he didn't. So either way, they said that they were supposed to be in White Cloud to meet up with their family, and the guy said, "Well, why aren't you?" And Dave said, "Who wants to go on a hunting trip where all you do is sit around and fart?"
Sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think why guys go on hunting trips to sit around and fart. I think you just described the reason for it. Now, at some point, Dave said, quote, wouldn't it be nice to just up and disappear at one point? And he told this guy that he met at the bar, this fucking annoying local, he said, I'd just like to head off to the Bahamas for the winter. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be great? And then Welch told him, the guy sitting there, he said, you'd have a better chance of disappearing if you go to Alaska, as we've talked about. Alaska is for the, wanted. For criminals. So they said that, whatever. So they said, oh, maybe that's how this happened. They talked to him. Maybe they went to the Bahamas. Maybe they went on an Alaskan pussy hunt. We have no idea.
With $120 in their pocket.
We're hunting all right for pussy in the woods. So, they told this guy that they were going hunting by Hoy Road and County Road 489. They talked about Dave's Bronco. They told Welch they bought a .45 revolver from a friend of theirs in Detroit before they left. And they asked him if he wanted to go out and shoot it. This guy said, nah, I'm too drunk. I've been drinking since God knows when. So, since at least I've been drinking since at least the spring. So, nah, I'm good. So they said that they were, they said that they were thinking of people said that it seemed like this guy Welch said he was worried about someone trying to rob them.
Okay.
But then he said, well, they're armed and they're from Detroit. They know what they're doing. Like, they're used to people trying to rob them probably.
Yeah.
So they said they sat there and bullshitting and all that sort of thing. Welch was doing shots of straight schnapps. That's what he's drinking.
Jesus.
Disgusting. They were taking turns buying each other rounds, apparently. And, that is fucking gross. So Brian got up and said that he was going to go to the Northwood after all. That's what they were going to do. So Ken Fox, working at the Northwood, about 10:30 to 11 o'clock at night, they said a young deer hunter came in. These guys, they never seen him before. They see everybody around there. This guy, who we assume is Brian, sat down in the bar, and this Ken Fox got him a drink. He said he sat down a few seats from the cash register. A few minutes later, two very good-looking women, about 25 or so, came in.
Hell yeah.
This guy said they were way better looking and way better dressed than the typical women at the Northwood in deer season. You know, they had like not boots on. You know what I'm saying?
They had shoes with no shoestrings.
Yeah, they had not camouflage is what they were wearing. It's pretty hot when chicks don't wear camouflage just once, just one. So he said he'd never seen them before. And, you know, they were everybody in the bar was looking at him. He's like, damn, he's fucking where these women came from. They sat
at that. Those are ladies.
Yeah, that's ladies. They sat down at the bar about 10 feet down from Brian. They ordered drinks, and they said that Brian told the bartender to put the drinks on his tab. He used to put them on my tab.
Oh, what a gentleman.
Then he wrote a note on a piece of paper and handed it to the bartender and asked him if he'd mind passing it on to them. They read the note, put it down, got up and walked out without touching their drinks. So I don't know what kind of note they just wrote, but they just fucked up having two good-looking women in the bar for everyone in there. And they're like, what did you do that for? Jesus Christ.
What did the note say? Get the fuck out of here?
We don't know. It must have been filthy. So, wow. They said they thought it was Friday is what he thought. They said that Brian finished his drink, didn't rush it, didn't nurse it, just finished his drink and left. The guy was like, holy shit, what the fuck was that all about here? Holy fuck, that's crazy. So
if I was the two of you, I'd run.
I'd run. Because I'll be chasing you. I'll give you a 10-second head start, maybe, is what it said. I'm not sure.
I already started counting.
Yeah. I started counting as soon as I folded this note. You look over at him and he goes, 7. He mouths it, holding up 7 fingers. They just took off. So David stayed at the other bar at Walker's with the Welch guy, the drunken out-of-work construction worker. At one point, David got up to go to the bathroom and stumbled. At that point, the bartender, Beverly, stopped serving him. Said, all right, you're cut off.
Was that a stumble?
Yeah. Well, when he came out of the bathroom, she said, I think you've had enough. And, you know, that's good here. She said she expected trouble from him, but he was very polite and took it calmly. And he said, okay, that's fine. But do you mind if I wait for my buddy? I don't have to drink. Just mind if I wait for my friend to come back with the car.
I'm hammered.
And they said, sure, that's fine. That's good. That's a guy who you should be embarrassed. If you try to trip and people go, you've had too much, you shouldn't go, I'm fine. You should go, oh, God, I'm that person who stumbles and then has to be told they've had too much to drink. I'm going to go home now.
Yes, there should be shame in that, not fucking fight for your rights. Calm the fuck down. It's okay. We all get too drunk sometimes. It
happens. Right. It happens. It's okay. It's all right. Just try harder. So David started drinking some coffee over there then. She gave him some coffee. A little while later, Brian returned, and he and David walked out the back door, and they said it must have been about 10:30, no later than 11 o'clock when they left. She figured that had to be the time because that's when they closed the kitchen, and she came out at that time and saw him stumble, and so it must have been somewhere between 10:30 and 11. The cook said that. Welsh here, he finishes off another schnapps and then leaves 15 minutes later. When he left, he said there was a black Bronco in the parking lot. He figured that was Dave's car. He said he went over and checked to see if it was running. Maybe they got in and fell asleep. He said, I don't want them to, quote, I don't want them to sat there and gas themselves to death.
Yeah, that is a common thing. Yeah.
It's awfully nice, but it wasn't running and they weren't inside. So this guy thinks these motherfuckers must have gotten lucky. He says the other friend must have fucking got some women back at the Northwood place, brought him back here, picked Brian up in their car, and they're screaming off into the night with like the convertible top down and their tits hanging out. Go, woo! That's what he's thinking. So the next day, it's about noon, and there's Brian and Dave. They're back at the bowling alley again.
Jesus.
And they ordered a Coke and a Budweiser. They said something to get a little blood sugar back in their system, and then a little hair of the dog. So a Bud with a Coke chaser.
Not bad.
So they said, how's your head today? And David said, I think I had enough last night. What do you think here? And they were he was laughing about it with the bartender. Like, she didn't mind because he wasn't a dick about it. So she was like, no shame in that. That's fine. So, that's how that goes. They said they were hanging out, doing their thing. The next time Welch comes in, he says he saw the hunters some weeks later.
Some weeks?
Weeks later. He said, it's hard to judge the passage of time when you're sitting at the bar in Walker's every night. In other words, I've been drunk for months straight.
For way too long.
Way too long. He said one night, though, he went in there and there were their pictures, Dave and Brian's pictures up on the wall. They were missing. And the flyer asked if anyone had seen them, contact authorities. What the fuck? The sheriff had come in and, that's it. She told him, this is what I know. He said, it's so weird, man. I guess they were missing. And the woman was shocked, the bartender. She's like, those guys were missing. Said, that's weird. David had left a heavy flannel shirt on the bar stool. She went and got it. She had put it in her office. She went and got it and gave it to the sheriff and said, if you ever find him, here's his shirt, by the way. So that's what we have. So that's proof that they were there, though. She had an item of his clothing. Another guy, Michael Parent, was deer hunting in an area known as Malty Hills. Malty. It's near Rose City, a few miles south of Mayo, when two men approached him in the woods. They had gotten turned around in the back roads and wanted directions back to Mayo. They said they both had on hunter's orange. One had a beard. One was tall. One was short. Mm-hmm. They mentioned they were driving a Bronco, and the snow wasn't a concern if they had to take unplowed roads. So we got four-wheel drive, and we'll take care of it.
It'll be all right.
So David and Brian, they said, yeah, sure. You know what I mean? Let's do that. Some people said they were assholes, though, because there's a woman named Cindy Social, and she said she was working at Linker's Lost Creek Lodge there, where basically there's one big room that's a bar and a restaurant in this place, and it was a big giant place, and it was actually not a shithole. And so Steve Linker was the guy who ran it, and I guess they'd bring in a house band, and people would come from all over to see the house band. It was the Double Deuce or something here. So Cindy, she said she wasn't sure of her dates. She thought she was, but she said they came in on Sunday the 24th, no doubt about it. She said she doesn't know what time it was, but she's positive it was that Sunday. And she said it got dark early up there, so it seemed like night most of the time. So they don't know. She doesn't know. She also remembered that not many people were there, considering it was deer season. She thought it was pretty slow. She noticed headlights as the car turned off Mapes Road into the parking lot. Like they missed that thing. She said the guys came in. She never saw them before. Took them for deer hunters. They ordered 2 Budweisers. She said one of them's name was Brian. He went to the bathroom. When he came back, the other David was about to pay. Now, Brian wanted to pay. So he said to her, quote, "Don't take his money or I'm going to fucking smack you."
Don't say that.
You don't say that. You say, don't take that. You do that. Don't take his money. I got that. That's what you do. You don't go. You don't threaten the waitress. You take that money. I'm going to kick you in the twat is not something you say to the waitress.
I'm going to give you a hysterectomy against your will.
That's right. I'll pull it right out with my bare hands. Comes out in one big chunk if you pull right. So she thought he might have been joking, but she took it as an insult. She took his money and his $2 tip, and then she went to her boss and said she didn't want to wait on them anymore. She said, fuck those people.
$2 tip.
Yeah. This guy said that he wanted to keep all the customers he could, the owner, so he went over and sat down with them and had a talk with them. Said, hey, be nice to the waitress. They promised to behave. They said they didn't mean anything by it. He was just breaking his friend's balls. He's sorry that he involved her. They're not those kind of guys. The owner came back to the waitress and said, they're all right. Come on. That's all right. But anyway, someone else is going to wait on them anyway. All right. She's bartending. Someone else does it. Now, another woman in the bar, Barb Klimek, she calls herself a party hardy girl.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, she was out at one or another of these bars here all the time, and she said, she lives right up the road on Mapes Road. She said that her best friend, Ronnie Emery, had stopped by her house just after nightfall of the northern Michigan, just after nightfall here. He shot his first legal buck of his life, and he wanted to go out and celebrate. Mm-hmm. Took down a buck here. He said he'd shot all kinds of deer, but this was the first one he ever shot while he actually had a license, so he said that was pretty cool. So
it's a fair fight. We's legal.
That's right. So she and Ronnie went out playing pool and drinking. Okay. Yeah. Maybe about an hour and a half after they got there, 2 deer hunters came in who she didn't know and whatever. And she figured them for deer hunters, which that's fine. She said she didn't like hunters in general. So she just, the people that come up there, they're kind of just touristy. So after they arrived, she said the short one grabbed her ass.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
The Jimmy grabbed her ass.
Yeah.
So she said, keep your fucking hands to yourself. She said she didn't take, she quote, didn't take any shit from tourist deer hunters, she said. I love this broad already. So she said about 5 minutes later, she's leaning over the table getting ready for a pool shot with her ass sticking out. This is great outdoors style here. She said that she said also that she had a pretty good ass in those days, by the way, she says. And she said the tall deer hunter slid past and rubbed his groin area into her butt. She said there's no way it was an accident, although it might have looked that way if you saw it from the other side of the room. But she said he definitely pressed his cock into my ass, basically. So she told him to fuck off and then went back to her shot again. So they put 2 quarters on the pool table and called for next game. So anyway, she's pissed off, this Barb. She kept looking at them like she wanted to kill them.
Yeah.
And she said every more she drank, the madder she got.
That's
she
what
said
happens.
She said they tried to talk with all sorts of fucking women in the bar, but, she said they just rubbed her the wrong way. She said, quote, those guys needed to get their asses kicked.
Okay, Barb.
So, another guy here, Dick Smith. He is with a sheriff with the Oscoda County Sheriff's Department. He said that, usually during deer season, he'd be out with a conservation officer and they would write out citations for hunting violations. He said about 2 a.m., end of shift time, he was driving and they were nearing the Camp 10 store, driving east on M72, when a black Bronco pulled out in front of him. They said Smith couldn't tell for sure in the dark, but it looked like it had driven right out of the ditch just east of the store. So they said probably a drunk with four-wheel drive. He said, God damn it, it's the end of my shift. And he said, it's cold out. It's 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And he said, quote, I didn't want to be bothered with arresting a drunk driver. There's no one else on the road. If they run into a tree, it's their fucking problem, basically.
I'm not getting out of my car for this shit.
Not doing it. So he said he just let him go. Now, I just gave you all of this from their entire weekend. These are all the facts, all the sightings, all the what this has added up to, a whole timeline where you can see they went to this, they went here, asked for directions, they missed the fucking road, they went here, they went to one bar, where's the action, they went to that bar, they both came back, well, the bar I went to sucks and this one sucks, let's try that other one. Then they went there, hit on women, got yelled at, did a great outdoors pool cue move, and that's that. So this is how the police will report this in the police report. This is the entire report on all of that, okay? Quote, left St. Clair Shores, residents from Mayo. Once in Mayo, they stopped at Walker's Bar restaurant where they were drinking. Angjan, whatever, left Tile at Walker's and went to Northwood's Bar. At Northwood Bar, where he requested Mr. Fox give the note to the 2 girls. After the girls left, he finished drinking and returned to Walker's Bar where David was at. David had been cut off drinking at Walker's Bar due to being intoxicated. The pair left Walker's Bar with Tyle leaving behind his shirt. After leaving Walker's Bar, they proceeded out of town and stopped at the Barker residence where they obtained directions for Roscommon. Nothing further on Friday. Saturday. Nothing until they showed up at Walker's Bar in mid-afternoon and ordered food. It's unknown their whereabouts until they showed up at Linker's Lost Lodge Bar in the evening. Nothing further on Saturday. None of that shit. Sunday. Unknown whereabouts until they returned to Linker's Bar in the evening, where they gave barmaid waitress a rough time and spoke with Steve Linker. After leaving the bar, whereabouts are unknown. So they broke it down into nobody knows shit, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, 3 years go by.
What?
3 fucking years go by, and that gets worse from there. Okay? December 8th, 1988, this is. They're having a meeting about this. They decide they're going to try to double down and come back and try to figure this case out.
Who's we? They?
The 18 police officers from a wide variety of jurisdictions gathered in the Flint Township Fire Hall for a meeting on the case.
Wow.
Which the people in there said, oh, wow, all these different jurisdictions, we're actually having a meeting. Maybe we're taking this shit seriously here.
18 of them.
18. So they talked to one guy, said he has an informant who claimed that he overheard in a bar in Wixom a conversation that a guy named J.R. Duvall had that he killed 2 hunters and buried them in the woods. The bar was called O'Shea's Tavern, and it was at a family birthday party there. Because you always bring up your, past murders at a family birthday party.
It's a very classy birthday party.
Oh, look at little Susie. Ain't she so cute blowing out her candles? I hope. Man, she starts school next year. She's just adorable. Did I ever tell you about when I killed them 2 guys and buried them in the woods?
What did she get? Is that a strawberry shortcake? That reminds me of the time I murdered 2 men.
Oh, I slaughtered them good. So they said that Duvall said that he'd gotten into a fight in a bar and taken the hunters outside and shot them. And this guy said that the informant said that they guessed the Bronco had ended up in the possession of a South Lyon resident, which is north of Ann Arbor. So this guy said he'd been conducting surveillance of the house in October and saw the Bronco, which had been converted into a short bed pickup. Okay. It had the wrong plate on it, but he said it could have been a Bronco converted into a short bed pickup. And, of course, they'd put the different plate on it. They're not going to have the same plate on it. So they said the guy had gotten the Bronco from a well-known retag guy up in northern Michigan. So a guy who can clean a car so you can register. In northern Michigan, identification numbers and then switching plates. The retag guy was a good friend of J.R. Duvall, the guy who was mentioned before. So that's 2 separate people goes back to that J.R. Duvall guy. So who the fuck is J.R. Duvall?
Love to know.
Okay, well, he is one of the Duvall brothers. Mm-hmm. Duvall brothers are Raymond Wilbur Duvall Jr., otherwise known as J.R. He is 35 years old in 1985. He's born in 1950. And his brother, Donald Dean Coco Duvall. He goes by Coco.
Because Dee Dee sounds stupid.
It sounds dumber, so Coco. Yeah. Now, he's 33. He's 2 years younger than his brother, okay? Now, this guy said he did background checks on JR and Coco, and they were considered extremely violent, basically. They were fucking a mess. The younger brother was living with JR at the time. They are known as, this is from a newspaper, the Duvall brothers drank hard and played hard in the forests of northeast lower Michigan, living off the land, sleeping in small cabins and decrepit trailers, and using their fists to settle scores.
I didn't hear anything about a job there, James.
1985. Oh, they don't have a job. We'll get into what they do for a job. They liked this. This is what they were into. All the forests and swamps, they said, were rich with game for fishing and hunting, providing a physical and psychological barrier to the outside world.
Literally living off the land.
Yeah, they're known as the most feared, craziest, toughest guys in the North Woods, is what they're known as here. Yeah. They said they are the leaders of what is called a clan of 7 brothers.
I don't like that word.
No, it's they're basically what they call. Everybody says they're like an urban legend in the area. Like the Duvalls are like the Whites of West Virginia, or like everyone knows the Duvalls and that they're fucking crazy. Their father, Raymond Duvall Sr., died in prison. That's nice.
Oh, God.
That's good. Their mother, Shirley, was also known as their mother was Shirley. Jr., J.R., was also known as Jay or the Bird. They called him the Bird sometimes. He had J.R., they crudely tattooed on his left arm, they said.
Right.
And Coco had a tattoo on his right hand, another shitty one, that read Coke, C-O-K-E.
Yep.
Coke, like Coke.
Coke bottles.
Yeah, like someone named Coke. That's interesting. Someone whose nickname would be confused with Coke, because everyone calls him Coco, but Coke is what some people call him. So Tommy is one of the brothers. He's known as the Worm. That's one of the brothers. Coke, the Worm, the Bird. He's the quietest of the bunch. Frank, he's the sexiest of the Watt family. Yeah. Frank, they called Finn. Rex Wayne, here it is. He's known as Sexy. That's his nickname. Sexy. I'm Sue Bob. I'm the sexiest of the Watt family. That's him.
Rex Wayne with the titties.
Sexy Rexy. Swing them titties, Rexy. My God. Oh, Jesus Christ. A couple of these people, Rex, I guess, Rex, when he was 32, had to serve time for criminal sexual conduct with a friend's 15-year-old daughter.
Oh, God, Jesus, that's rape is what it's called.
Yeah, well, that was the charge that he pled guilty to, is criminal sexual conduct. The 2 youngest brothers were named Randy. They called him Non, N-O-N, like you're not a thing.
Not a person.
And then the last one was Kenneth Ray, who they called what? What's his nickname, Jimmy?
Kenny.
Ed.
Of course it is.
Of course. Why not? Why not call him fucking Jim? Who cares? What's
Bill,
the difference?
who gives a fuck
Who
at this
cares? Just call him whatever the fuck you want. There's one sister, Charlene. I
Yeah.
bet you can guess her nickname.
Charlene?
Sissy. She's the one sister. So they are known as, they spent most of their time in a town called Monroe, where basically they've been feared by every kid in the area since elementary school.
Of course.
Their classmates' parents called them the Monroe Mafia, the family.
Yeah.
Okay, but not as classy at all. JR got married as a teenager here to a girl named Kate and then went off to Vietnam. He couldn't wait to do that. But before he went off to Vietnam, this is amazing. When he was 13, JR, okay, Raymond Sr. started stabbing his wife in the house.
Yeah.
This is JR's stepmother at the time. So, stabbing his wife up good, okay? JR took aim and fired with a .22 rifle at his father, obviously. Right. This is a normal scenario.
Yes, you do.
Both the father and the mother survived, but they were both hit with .22 rounds, okay?
Hit them both?
Hit them both, yeah.
Bad shot.
The cops decided that Junior acted in self-defense, but it was talked about in the family for years. Hey, remember when Junior shot Senior that time when Senior was stabbing his wife? Yeah, that'll come up on every once in a while.
Remember when he missed Senior and hit her too?
At least during holidays, right? She
Yeah.
walks with a limp because of that still, but at least she's not stabbed to death. Now, basically, Ray Sr. would beat everybody in the fucking family. It's just he's always beating people and shit like that. That's what it is. At one point when he finally died, Coco, the younger brother, said, quote, "I'm glad the son of a bitch is dead." And that was that for his dad. Didn't really give a shit about that.
Hell of a eulogy.
JR was an MP in Vietnam, actually, which is very odd for a lawless motherfucker here. Later on, he's married to that Kate girl. They have 2 sons. Holy shit. I wonder what they're like. And then Kate divorced him. Her sister, Georgia, who married Coco, yes, the sisters married the brothers,
Gross.
said that JR was a different person when he came home from Vietnam.
I'll bet.
And he really is a sick motherfucker. So Georgia married Coco in 1970, then divorced him in 1976. That's how their marriage worked.
Bliss, yeah.
She said she was tired of his drinking and his beating her.
I imagine you would get tired of that.
That would get real annoying. He broke her jaw the year they got married.
God damn it, man.
Broke her nose another time. Now, he says, though, yes, he did break her jaw, but it wasn't his fault. He was trying to hit her uncle, and she got in the way. And it just connected with her. I was just trying to punch her uncle in the face. I don't know. Stop putting your jaw in front of my fist.
Hit her square.
Square in the jaw to break
Took
it.
her
She
fucking
got
head off.
unfucking real. They were a pack, though. They said, everybody in the area said, if you deal with or fight with one of them, you deal with or fight with all of them. That's just the way it is. They moved. They'd work like in an auto plant for a while, and then they would I guess apparently they're very poor basically, and a couple of the brothers had gotten a job at an auto plant, and the rest of them are kind of just hanging out in the woods and the swamps and everything else. It was very, very weird here. JR and Coco they were a mess basically. They ran a chop shop in the woods. Okay. So they also have pigs. They're pig farming hillbillies that also do like city shit. They do like chop shops in their barn, shit like that. Okay. They would steal cars, chop them into parts, and sell them off quickly. They were really good at tracking deer. They could run all sorts of shit. They said they could run trap lines. They knew where the best hardwood was to chainsaw into loads of firewood so they could sell it. They could run salvage yards. They had a legitimate junkyard business, actually.
Really?
Like a legitimate on-the-books junkyard business here. They were mechanics, roofers, welders, electricians. These are just 2 of them. They know how to do everything. They're just
handymen. Just doing
handymen. Yeah. They would also, they steal power. They climbed a consumer power pole and rigged up a line to run free electricity down to their houses.
That is balls, man.
Yeah, that's what I mean. These guys are fucking nuts. When asked years later what they did for a living, Coco answered, quote, "firewood and welfare."
Yeah.
Calling all dog owners. Your furry friend deserves top-notch nourishment, and Ollie delivers the clean, fresh nutrition your dog needs in 5 flavors they'll absolutely flip over. Ollie is made in U.S. kitchens with ingredients carefully sourced from trusted growers and producers around the world, with absolutely no harmful fillers or preservatives. With protein-first recipes like fresh beef with sweet potatoes, fresh turkey with blueberries, or fresh lamb with cranberries, you might start thinking, dang, my dog eats better than I do. And that's probably true when it comes to Ollie. Give your pup a fresh start this new year by letting them taste test a personalized meal plan with Ollie. Head to ollie.com/Wondery. Tell them all about your dog and use code WONDERY to get 60% off your first box of meals when you subscribe today. Plus, they offer a clean bowl guarantee on the first box. So if you're not completely satisfied, you'll get your money back. That's OLLIE.com/Wondery and enter code WONDERY to get 60% off your first box. Start your dog's new year off right with Ollie. Start your dog's new year off right with Ollie.
Creating really great retail experiences is tough, especially with multiple stores, teams of staff, fulfillment centers, separate workflows. It's a lot. But with Shopify Point of Sale, you can do it all without complexity. And let's face it, acquiring new customers is expensive. With Shopify POS, you can keep shoppers coming back with personalized experiences and first-party data that give marketing teams a competitive edge. In fact, it's proven, based on a report from EY, businesses on Shopify POS see real results, like 22% better total cost of ownership and benefits, equivalent to an 8.9% uplift in sales on average relative to the market set surveyed. Want more? Check out at shopify.com/Wondery. All lowercase, and learn how to create the best retail experiences without complexity. Shopify.com/Wondery.
So, JR he'd harvest things year round. He knew the woods and he knew how to do everything, basically. His family would say that he killed about 100 deer a year. He would kill them.
Seems like a lot.
A lot, and he not legal either.
Right.
Yeah, he would do that, and he would. He also would he cut down a power pole with a chainsaw, like a telephone pole with a chainsaw.
Yeah,
because he didn't want it there. Very, very fucking interesting. He even would use, after a while, he would use his chainsaw to quarter his deer after he killed them.
Oh God, that's so messy.
That's messy, so he could feed them to the hogs. Wow. They said it's holy shit, man. This is wild. At one of their 4th of July pig roasts, it didn't look like the pig they were roasting was going to be enough for the whole crew that showed up. So they said if typical day, not only would there be family and stuff like that, but if it's a party like that, local motorcycle gang members would show up as well. The highwaymen or the penetrators. That's a name for a fucking gang. So, they said JR, Rex, Randy, and their mom's boyfriend, Jimmy McBee, they would drove off down to the neighbor's farm. Someone shot a cow. They just stole a neighbor's farm, and JR cut it in half with a chainsaw right where it fell.
Unbelievable.
They cut it in half so they could drag it over to the road and wrestle it into the back of the Jeep.
Yeah.
It's unwieldy, a giant fucking deer.
Listen, cow, James. A giant fucking cow.
Giant. I guess I meant a cow. They're not big guys, but they're terrifying. They're scraggly hairs, scraggly beards. They bathe once a month. They're just filthy. They're covered in viscera and fucking bone chunks and blood in their hair all the time. They're fucking disgusting. Coco was 5'5", about 170 pounds. Yeah. And JR is about 5'9", 5'10", and a little bit thinner, basically. Okay. So they're crazy. Here's locals' opinions on them, and we'll get some lore from them. One guy here's Orf Flockhart.
Yeah.
He said he doesn't believe JR would ever kill a person, though. He said this guy's 67 years old, and he looks like an old prospector. The picture of him in the paper, he's lighting a pipe with a match. I swear to God, with a can of Milwaukee's Best next to him.
Fantastic.
He said he lived with JR for a couple of winters, and then several years later with another one of the Duvall brothers, Sexy Rexy, of course. He said he didn't know Coco very well, but Junior was a nice guy, and I don't believe he could do anything. He was a guy that if he cut a load of wood for you, he was fair about it. Okay, he said JR wasn't a violent man, but he liked to drink and could sure handle his fighting. And he also said that JR used to boast that he spent $200 a month on beer, just himself.
Okay.
In the 80s, he drank $200 worth of beer in a month. That's a lot.
That's a whole lot of beer. That's
yeah.
What it was like, $8 a 12-pack then, probably $7.99.
Probably less than that for what they're drinking.
Yeah, you're probably right. $4.
In the 80s, yeah.
That's a shitload of beer.
Fuck yeah. This guy went on to say, they had their fun. Once they tied up Kenny, that's the youngest of the Duvall brothers, with ropes and hoisted him up in the tree and just left him there.
Oh, poor Ed.
But it was for fun. Just for fun. Not to Ed, it wasn't fun. So the conservation officer that knows this area said, quote, Duvall, that's the magic word. He said, no one here is going to talk to you about them, though, because they're all terrified of them. This guy says that the Duvall brothers were constant, frequent targets of investigations. Quote, they were criminals, poachers, always looked to do something wrong. They were very assaultive, very aggressive. And they had another problem here. They had been a part of a ring that where they were convicted of illegally selling salmon eggs in 1982.
Those are super regulated?
They were, apparently they were harvesting them. They sold fish that was out of season. They'd go fishing for shit that they weren't allowed to keep. It was just out of season. You're not allowed to do it because they're spawning. They set out turtle traps in the cedar bogs and swamps, which I guess you weren't allowed to do. They cut wood and sold it by the face cord, paying friends of theirs $10 a day to help them. Mm-hmm. So, and they would do it from state-owned land that they weren't allowed to do that on. Yeah. So, enter Sergeant. Well, here's Sergeant Bronco. He's going to enter later on, but he said about them, lots of people hated them, but lots of people were afraid to turn on them. He said they like to fight. You mess with one of them, you mess with all of them. I got a lot of payphone calls from people who wanted to stay anonymous about them. So they said another sheriff of Alcona County, he said that they had a reputation for violence and intimidation. He said if you stopped them, you knew to get back up.
Don't do this alone.
Holy shit. Did they or did they not kill a guy's wife? Let's find out about that. Nelson Bolzman, who's 50, he ended up being convicted in the 1994 strangulation of his wife, Eileen. He maintained his innocence saying the whole time, saying that his wife may have been killed by friends or relatives of J.R. Duvall, with whom Eileen had a 10-year affair with. He's like, it wasn't me.
She was cheating on him for 10 years with a guy?
She was the mother of one of his children, as a matter of fact.
God damn it.
Of two of his children, sorry.
Oh, my God.
The trial, later on, we'll get into all this crazy shit, because he has a lot of trials, as J.R. Duvall. Another guy here, Robert Provost, a Vietnam veteran, that he's described as, quote, a Vietnam veteran with no permanent address. That says a lot. He told the cops he suffered from post-traumatic stress syndrome, and they found his tire tracks back on this time swerving around Eileen's body on the muddy road, and he was cleared of wrongdoing. So he drove around the body, didn't say anything about it.
Clearly saw it if he went around it.
That's the problem there, yeah. It was alleged that JR and Coco stole cars, chopped them into parts, and all that kind of shit. Like we said, they ran legitimate junkyards, they ran illegitimate junkyards, they did all that kind of shit. They did do some legitimate work. They'd paint some barns or put some fence posts up for a farmer or some shit like that. They re-roofed some restaurants in the area. JR had bartended at Timber Steakhouse in South Branch, where he was also the bouncer, because he's a fucking lunatic. Coco had a tow truck for years down by Monroe, so there was that. And, he fought the city because he was running a business out of his home, and they didn't want him to. Anyway, they were working here later on at the Union 76 station next to Timbers, thing. And, they're always fighting they're always fighting people or doing crazy shit. One of Coco's girlfriends, live-in girlfriend, Connie Sundberg, worked there also. She said one time during one of her breakups with Coco, Connie agreed to a date with the son of a local deputy sheriff. Mm-hmm. When the guy came to pick her up, a couple of Duvall's friends jumped the guy, basically. And the the friend had a metal pipe and fucked the guy's head all up.
Oh,
beat
my
him all
God.
up. Yeah, he fucking beat his head in with a metal pipe. The deputy sheriff then came by and got all pissed off and said, who did this to my kid? But nobody would say, and charges were never filed. So one time here, JR's live-in girlfriend named Donna Laureen Meekin, she was in the midst of a divorce and pregnant by JR. She's Connie's sister, by the way, so they always fuck sisters.
Yeah,
the other one,
fucking sisters.
They do. It makes it easier. His girlfriend at the time, they said, basically, this woman, another woman, his girlfriend. Okay, here we go. This is hard. He had a girlfriend. Okay, live-in girlfriend named Donna Laureen Meekin. Okay, Meekin, Meakin. All right. Yeah, she is. They were getting a divorce, but she's pregnant by him. Okay, that's Connie's sister. Now, he had another girlfriend at the time named Eileen Seitz, who had just left him because he beat her up all the time.
Right.
So Eileen and JR used to live in an earthen home. Earthen, Jimmy. I'll explain that. Near Curtisville. It was a sod hut.
It's a hole in the ground.
It's a hut. They built a fucking mud hut. Remember the guy in the Express that wanted to build a dirt house?
Dirt house.
That's what they did. Yeah. Dirt house. They built a dirt house near Curtisville, a sod hut. It was basically like if you went in the 1800s and had to hunker down for a little while.
What the shit?
It had dirt floors and was surrounded by litter, junk, and shit all over the place that they just left. Junk and car parts and shit. It's fucking crazy. Now, Donna Lauren Meekin, she was 24 at the time in the late 80s when they were talking to her. She had met JR when she was 14. Met, meaning she's been fucking JR since she was 14 and he was in his 20s, but hadn't moved into his trailer till the previous March. They went down, things started to go downhill after she had a baby and he beat the living shit out of her. And then dragged her through the mobile home by her hair.
Golly.
So he was out fishing one day and she packed up her shit and left there. So, wow. This is fucking crazy. So, they had fenders, boat parts, refrigerator parts, old iron wood burning stoves. They had all this weird shit up there. There's dogs, animal fucking shit all over the place. There's pig shit everywhere because there's tons of pigs. Yeah. They love their pigs. Rex's favorite pig lived in the house with him and his wife.
No.
Yep. And then JR was known to pass out next to the pig on the bed. One neighbor girl who was 8 or 9 at the time used to come over to play with Sharon's daughter, Nicole. She remembered years later watching the Duvals heading down the steps to the basement, hearing them fire up a chainsaw, hear the motor revving up and down as, it was doing its thing, and then they would come up with white 5-gallon plastic buckets dripping red filled with raw meat that they'd go toss out to the pigs.
Good God. What they were cutting up?
Deer. They were doing this in their basement.
Oh, that's so gross.
A local sheriff, and this is my favorite, a local law official called them, quote, 3 levels lower than deliverance.
3 levels lower.
Lower than deliverance. Give you an idea of what's going on here.
Hill trash.
They said, this is from the book here, it was a big family just counting the siblings. Huge when you figured in all the McMullen first cousins and second cousins, the children, the illegitimate children, the wives, the ex-wives, girlfriends, and ex-girlfriends. It was the kind of close-knit by blood family that when a cousin was asked if he was a cousin on the mom's side or the dad's side, he could very well answer both.
Gross!
That's what's going on. So, years have gone by. There's a giant mystery. It is, in fact, on Unsolved Mysteries, this case. That's
With
how
Robert
much
Stack?
That's how unsolved of a mystery this truly is. They assign all these. They have like a 15-officer... They have a big task force, but it's all from different people, it's all a bunch of tiny departments that each give a guy, I guess. Are they giving their best guy, or are they just giving, we could do without Dave for a while? Right. You know what I mean? Like,
keep him occupied for us, would you?
Yeah. Are we giving him the best guy, really? Probably not. Yeah.
You take 18 half a detectives, you got 9 full detectives.
That's a good point. Maybe they'll come up with something if they rub their dicks together long enough, something will pop out. So August of 1889. August of 1989. Sorry, this story sounds like it's from 1889 besides the Bronco.
Yeah, certainly dated.
One cop is overlooking Detective Anderson's information on an informant that had talked about they needed a big replacement part for a 1978 Bronco, and one of the Duvals was like, yeah, well, we could just steal you that and get that part for you. That's easy. You know what I mean? Okay. So they said that this guy goes over the notes, talks to this person, and it was different from the last time, this person's story. This time, this guy said that he'd been in O'Shea's Tavern in Wixom about 2 years earlier and heard JR telling family members about himself and his brother Coco getting into a fight with two deer hunters outside of a bar and killing them. He didn't know what bar it was, what the Duvals had used, but since he'd heard other family members telling variations of the tale too since then. So the informant said that if anyone knew anything of value, it would be a guy named Raymond Metcalf. Okay? He's a good friend of the Hoffmans, who are related by marriage and who live up in another county. Now, September 7th, four detectives meet with this Metcalf guy. He told them, yes, I know JR and Coco well, but I had nothing to do with them in about 15 years, and they're heavily involved in drugs and crime, and I don't deal with them. He said that this Hoffman guy said that 2 or 3 years earlier, one of the Duvall's cousins, Lonnie McMullen, was visiting him and said that JR had told him about killing some guy and feeding him to the pigs. He said that he hadn't asked him more about it and had no idea what happened, and he said he knew nothing about any 1980 Ford Bronco. Now, Hoffman's wife, Debbie, was Lonnie's sister. Lonnie McMullen's sister that he just talked, who was one of the Duvall's cousins. Lonnie McMullen is married to... Jesus Christ. His sister is Debbie's married to this guy Hoffman. They're all related up here. That's why you could say that. So she was also one of the Duvall's cousins as well. Okay. Now, Debbie remembered the incident. She thought Lonnie was just bullshitting or joking and hadn't taken him seriously. Coco Duvall was close with her sister, who lived in Florida, and she said, well, I don't know nothing, he don't know nothing, but if anybody would know anything, it's my sister, because she's real close to him, my sister Susan down in Florida. So, there we go. A couple days later, Debbie called the detective and said she called her sister in Florida, saying her kids had been arguing about the details of something they'd heard Lonnie talking about a while back, something about JR and Coco feeding some guys to some pigs. What did she know about it? Was it true? Susan told her it was true.
Oh, boy.
The story JR told her was that he'd gotten drunk at some bar and was beaten up by 5 guys. JR had left and come back with Coco and someone else. Only 2 of the guys had beaten him up were still in the bar. They dragged them outside, beat them up, killed them, and fed them to pigs. Okay. So, no one had. There was no pack of 5 that they were involved. They were never in a pack of 5. Dave and Brian. So they're like, we don't know what's up with that.
That story doesn't check out.
That doesn't check out. So now there's a $15,000 reward for information and all this type of shit. Now, on September 17th of that year, Schramm gets a call from the East Tawas post of the police. One of their informants had something. The informant had good information that they said it was considered reliable. He said he'd been at a party at a gravel pit near the Alcona Dam with JR, Coco, and members of the Highwaymen motorcycle gang. Yeah. Everyone was drinking heavily. No shock there. At some point, Junior told the informant that he had killed 2 people and fed them to some hogs, and that their vehicle had been cut up and part of it rolled down the high banks above the dam into the water. Okay. On September 21st, Michigan State dive teams spent a long time searching 2 deep water spots behind the dam, crisscrossing the waters, but they finally gave up and they couldn't find anything. September 22nd, they get another tip. Okay? He's rattling the whole cage here. He's anger in the hive. This time, this is fucking interesting here. They get this informant's a woman, okay? Sets up an interview. She had been at Shirley Duvall's house in November of '85 when a call came in. JR was in trouble and needed the family's help. A little later, Coco and 4 others that she named grabbed some sticks and knives and raced out. Sticks. The problem was the other people would later tell the identical tale, but with a different cast of characters. So nobody can get exactly.
Same
There's a lot of
weapons?
a lot of drunks and a lot of fighting, and they can't really nail down which drunken fight this was. She said they all returned at daybreak. They said she didn't notice any blood on their clothing, and they didn't talk about what happened. Months later, around the 4th of July, 1986, a friend's pickup was seen with the front and rear axles of a Ford four-wheel drive vehicle and possibly transmission too. So they said the parts were delivered and sold to another guy named Mike. Holy shit. So anyway, the informant 3 days earlier, one of the Duvall's wives had called her. The wife had seen one of the flyers asking for information because they were all over the place. The wife said she just talked to Coco, and he was warning the family they better get ready because the police are coming after us. All right, now, here we go. Police talked to JR's ex at this point, Donna Sundberg. Okay, there was Connie and Donna. Now, she like we said, had some he beat her up and everything like that. Donna, right after they broke up, she already had a new boyfriend. She'd moved on. It is her sister's husband's uncle.
Jesus God.
That's who she hooked up with here.
Sister's brother? Wait.
Sister's husband's uncle.
That's gross.
That is just a weird, everybody's got to be related in some way, shape, or form. So they said that Junior's mother's boyfriend, James McBee, had come by looking for Junior. Labor Day weekend. He wanted to warn him that his brother Frank had just called to warn the family that the cops down in Monroe were asking questions about missing deer hunters. So she said that she heard the line, quote, "There's a snake in the woodpile," meaning that she took it as someone was talking. There's a rat out there. Yeah. The cops seemed to know too much about it. And they all talk. They're all gossiping. Who could be talking? Was it this one's ex-girlfriend? Was it this one's girlfriend's cousin's sister who this one impregnated twice? And then her uncle married my niece. How do you figure this out?
Somebody's uncle's got a big mouth.
Now they start getting all sorts of shit about the Duvalls. At one point, there was a party, and I guess it was JR said, quote, "I'll bet you no, it was somebody said this to JR. "I'll bet you $5 you won't kiss that pig's pussy." And he said, "Oh, goddamn right I will." And he did it.
Oh my God.
It gets worse, by the way, there. He did also.
Jesus.
So he kissed
Like
a
a
pig's
peck?
pussy. I doubt it. I bet it was a deep tongue fucking throbbing.
Mouth. Yeah.
And at one point, they were joking, and he said, pigs don't eat skulls, and he was laughing. And then he said to Donna, "If you don't shut up, I'll feed you to the pigs."
Okay.
Donna said it was common knowledge that some family members or friends would bring cars up from Michigan to be cut up and sold. They'd steal cars in Detroit, drive them up here to be cut up and sold.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They go to where the people are. So the next day, they said Donna had come in. Donna told them that story. Then the next day she came in hysterical and needed to talk to the police. Okay. She said she's worried about her sister Connie, Coco's ex-girlfriend. Coco had a new girlfriend named Terry, and Donna heard that Coco told Terry he thought Connie was shooting her mouth off and he was going to kill her. So worried about Connie. Now, September 25th, this cop interviews Sharon Russo. That is Sexy Rexy's ex-girlfriend. They'd broken up the previous year. For a good reason, because Rex had been sentenced to 36 to 42 months at the Southern Michigan Correctional Facility for criminal sexual misconduct with a 15-year-old.
3 years for that.
That'll end your relationship, yeah. So she said she'd been working at Timber Steakhouse in 85, and like all that, the Duvalls, everybody was there for deer season and hanging out and shit like that. She said she was always hosting pig roasts, and the party where the line about kissing a pig's pussy entered the family lore was the same one where JR, for $5 on a dare, ate a large hunk of pig shit.
$5.
For a total of $10, he ate pig shit and kissed its pussy. What's your price for eating pig shit, Jimmy? What's your price for that?
It is
It's high.
Staggeringly higher than eating pig pussy.
Wow.
And eating and licking kissing, however he did it, it's high. It's much higher than $5.
Oh my God. So he ate the pig shit. Then he went and passed out in the house next to where her pet pig was sleeping. Multiple people have pet pigs, by the way.
Okay.
When JR woke up, his face was down apparently by the pig's pussy. That's when one of the bikers saw JR and asked him if he'd kissed the pig's pussy for $5 too. You'll eat its shit. Will you go down on it for $5? And he said, "Fuck yeah, buddy." He's fucking
$5?
$5.
Wow.
So on October 19th of 89, JR is arrested on a warrant out of Alcona County for failure to pay child support.
Okay.
Which doesn't shock me at all.
Yeah.
They normally that's kind of a passive warrant. They're not out looking for you.
Right.
But if you're also a murder suspect, then they're going to go get you and use this as a reason to talk to you.
Get you on that one, hang on to you for questioning. Yeah.
Exactly. So they talk him into doing a lie detector test, which he's so arrogant he agrees to. Okay. They drive him down. He does a test. He said he was probably living in Curtisville in '85 in a trailer across from the community center, but that when the hunters went missing, he was camped out in the woods like he did every year on a 2-track that ran east-west just behind the trailer there. So he said the only fight he could remember getting into from that time was in Cass City. 2 guys beat him up when he started hitting his wife.
Rightfully so. What I did was earned an ass kicking.
I earned an ass whooping.
Yeah.
He said that his called his brothers for help. By the time they got there, it was all settled and done, and they just took him home, and he was the only one who got beat up. He doesn't know shit about missing hunters, and he knows nothing about Ford Broncos missing also. The guy who administered the test, Lieutenant Charles Allen, said that JR is definitely lying. He failed every single question besides his fucking name and address, and he's either directly responsible for the incident or at least heavily involved in it.
Yeah. They asked him, what's your name, address, what does pig pussy taste like? And then he failed everything else.
And everything else he failed. Except he said pig pussy tasted great. So I'm going to call that a fail too, because I don't think it does. So now they go into full-on intimidation mode, okay? Now the brothers are panicking. So J.R. Duvall is using threats to keep his ex-girlfriend, who, by the way, was later killed.
What?
Mysteriously. Quiet about this whole thing. People are starting to really talk and yap and, talk about what they think, but nobody wants to say anything to the cops because they're afraid of this family. The Duvalls they say this is ridiculous that you think we did that. This is a frame-up by the police who've got nothing but a pack of lying witnesses against us. Okay. We're upstanding people. Police don't have a body. No body, no crime, as we know. They don't have a truck. They don't have any clothing except for the flannel shirt from the bar. Right. They don't have a drop of blood to connect the Duvalls to anything. They have oogats is what they got. So their lawyer, the Duvall's lawyer, said they weren't there and they didn't do anything, and they're angry because they think they're being worked by the cops. Okay. So that's that. JR's attorney says the police, all they have are basically rumors and 1,200 pages of police report with no physical evidence, and the families of the victims pressured police to clear the books of the case, and that's the only reason they're there. They're doing this. Brian's mom here, she's 77 at the time, said, what can I tell you? She said, it'll be hard for me to even think about it, much less anything else. And then she just kind of stops. So they take him to trial. JR. 36 witnesses testified.
Wow.
Here's a couple highlights just to buzz through them. Connie Sundberg said that Coco drunkenly told her one night, quote, "We killed them," when talking about the hunters. Yep. Rocky Harmon said he'd overheard JR and Coco tell family members at O'Shea's that he killed the hunters. Rocky Sundberg said that JR said at a party what a good way to get rid of bodies was to feed them to pigs. Yep. Lonnie McMullen said he'd heard from 2 of JR's friends that JR admitted killing the hunters to them. That sounds very hearsay-ish. Donna Sundberg said that JR threatened to feed her to the pigs when she asked him what he and his friends had been saying one night about the hunters. Eileen Seitz, another one of JR's ex-girlfriends, said she'd seen Randy Duvall driving a Bronco the weekend the hunters disappeared. Once she heard JR and Coco talking, and one of them said, "I know, we're going to get caught." Yep. So Gerald Drieswer said Rex once told him, "Wouldn't it be something to feed people to pigs?"
Yeah.
Larry Asher said Coco once told him that he'd been beaten up by 5 guys, but Coco and Junior later jumped 2 of them and beat them to death, chopped one of them up and fed them to the pigs. Another time, Coco said that they went fishing in a particular spot, they'd be near the Bronco. Said, hey, if we go fishing over here, we'll be near the Bronco.
Yeah.
We'll be near that Bronco. Now, Jody Duvall, She said she was at Shirley Duvall's up north the weekend the hunters were missing. Sexy Rexy called and said Junior had been beat in a fight and needed help. She thought that Coco and 4 others she named went to Cass City armed with knives and returned early the next morning. And there's that one. Emily Duvall said she and other family members had been in Timber over the Thanksgiving weekend of 1989. Coco saw a poster of the missing hunters and said they deserved it. That was that. And then she'd been told by Frank that Coco told him that they buried the hunters. Now, Ken Duvall said they've gotten a call from Rex saying that Junior had been beaten up by 5 or 6 motorcyclists. They drove an hour and a half to Caro, but when they got there, Junior was sitting on the curb. He didn't look like he'd been beaten up. He said he was okay. They went to a coffee shop, bought cigarettes, got gas, and drove home. They didn't see anyone or fight anyone. These are defense witnesses. Randy Duvall said Junior had been in a fight with 2 guys and all that shit. Now, Tommy Duvall told the same story. Shirley didn't know anything. Glenn Lumpkis said he was at Rex's house when JR called saying he'd been in that fight. So there's a lot. Apparently he was in a fight in Cass City at one point and called everybody he ever knew. Yeah. Get on down here. They said some people it was a big ass kicking to him. Some people say that he did the ass kicking and they beat them. Some people say he killed them. It's crazy. Frank Duvall said they'd been out drinking one night when Coco told everyone that cops were dumb and if they find one body, they'll find another one below it.
Oh.
Okay. Now, Rex Duvall said he wanted a lawyer, then a week later reappeared with one. He said the call about the fight was in 86 or 87. He said that JR had been in a fight with in Caro with his ex-girlfriend's boyfriend and 2 others, and he needed to be picked up to avoid further trouble. They drove up, found him on the sidewalk, went to a coffee shop. So that's that time. Basically, this is at the grand jury. This isn't even the trial. The grand jury tells the Oakland County prosecutor that there is not enough to issue an indictment on this at all. There's no concrete evidence, no real witnesses, no actual eyewitnesses. You got a bunch of hearsay and a bunch of bullshit. And they said, sorry, got to let him go.
Yeah.
They let him go. So JR is released. This case, by the late 90s, is as cold as a pig's pussy.
Oh.
It is cold.
You dirtbag.
Colder than the pig's pussy.
Yeah.
When finally Detective Bronco Lesneski ends up. He sounds like a linebacker. Bronco Lesneski played for the Packers in 1961.
A detective with the same name
as the car. Bronco. I'll find that Bronco.
Okay, yeah. He finds Broncos. That's what he does.
That's what he does. March 1999 now. 14 years.
Yeah.
He gets a call back from a message he left for Ruth Fawcett. She said she had a friend named Barb Klimek. Remember that name? A one-time heavy drinker, the party hardy girl.
Party hardy. We love those girls.
During one of her binges, she confided to Fawcett, this woman, that she knew more about the Lost Hunters than anyone would believe. Barb told her she was in a bar called something like the Sky Ranch Lost Creek when there was a confrontation between some locals and some hunters. Barb was sitting by the payphone and heard the locals make 2 calls, one to one guy and one to another guy, whatever, for backup. They said the fight ensued and Barb was told to leave the bar and go home.
Yeah.
She went home and later heard noises in the woods by her house, which was close by. It sounded like fighting and arguing. Then, soon after, a couple guys showed up at her door and told her, "Keep your mouth shut. You didn't see anything. We know how to take care of you." Quote, "Pigs need to eat too."
Jesus.
Barb told Fawcett that they were bad people capable of killing anyone and that she'd never cooperate with the police because she was scared of them. So this lady said this Fawcett woman lives somewhere on this road. So the cops went and showed up at her house. They said, "Are you Barb Kimmel?" And she started shaking uncontrollably, apparently. She said, "You're going to get me killed," and tried to shut the door in their face. And he said, at that point, that's when he said, quote, "I just about fell over. I knew then, I absolutely knew I had something. This woman's not full of shit." So
what part told you that, officer?
Right? Shaking. So he asked her in, and she said, "You're going to get me killed." And he said, "Look, I'm not in uniform. I'm not in a marked car. No one will know you're talking to a cop. It just looked like some guy coming over. We've heard about your past. That's not a surprise."
You party hardy, dear.
You party hardy. She said, "I don't want any part of this." He talked her into that. So He told her he had leads, but he needs to know if he's on the right track. He said, I'm going to solve this if it takes the rest of my life. So she took a deep breath and said, quote, I knew I was screwed. That's what she said.
She said that to the cop?
Yep, she knew he was serious, and she knew that he'd keep coming back because the trail is going to keep coming back to me, and he's never going to leave me the fuck alone. So he said, fuck. So she took a deep breath and said, I didn't like those deer hunters much. Oh. She said, those two deserved to get their asses kicked, but they didn't deserve to get killed.
Oh, my God.
That's what she said. Then she started crying and said, why bother me? I don't want to get involved. But they said, we're going to have to talk about this. And she said, if you record me, I won't talk, because he asked if he could record her. So he said, have you ever been interviewed about this before? And he said, I've looked through everything. I haven't seen your name. And she said that she used to go by Boudreaux. Now, Klimek is her married name. But she said she hadn't been officially, the one name she went by now is Boudreaux, even though she's not officially Boudreaux, but she'd had an affair with an Iosco County deputy, and she told him what she knew. She said he just blew her off, and she said that she, it wasn't taken seriously. She said he told her that she was just a drunk.
Yeah.
So they asked if she had any relationship with the killers, and she said, I knew who they were, but I had never had any relationship with any of them. Okay. Here's the tale. She said she's sitting at the bar. 2 hunters started some shit with a barmaid, as we know about. Yeah. They were drunk, acting like assholes, she said. 2 of the Duvals, she mentioned them by name. We know the ones we're talking about. She confronted them, and it looked like there was going to be a fight. She threatened to call the cops, and everything died down. Okay? Then one of the Duvals made a call to a pig farmer in South Branch, Sherm Heilig, and someone else, like we talked about. A little later, friends of the Duvals arrived. The brothers and their friends brought her over a 6-pack and told her to, quote, leave. Leave. You didn't see anything. You don't know nothing. They gave her some booze and were like, go drink it off.
Wow.
She left and drove down the road to her house about a mile away, less than a mile away. A little while later, she heard screaming coming from the woods between her house and the bar, hollering and screaming. Bronco asked her how she could hear the noise with the doors and windows closed with the trees that way. She said it was so loud she could hear it over her TV.
In the house.
She said, I knew that the hunters were going to get their asses kicked and figured they deserved it, but I didn't know they were going to get killed. She said, a little while the noises stopped, and a little while after that there was a knock at the door, and it was the Duvals. And that's when they said, you didn't see anything and you don't know anything. If you ever open your mouth, you'll be killed. The pigs got to eat too.
Unreal.
She said, since then, every once in a while, for years, the Duvals, one of them would just stop by, knock on the door, just as a reminder. You didn't see nothing. Remember that? And then they'd leave.
Holy shit, man.
We ain't forgot about you. She said, quote, I'm sure they'll be giving me a visit soon. Every time things heat up, they call me or stop by and threaten me. You have no idea what trouble I'm in. They will kill me and my grandchildren.
Well, looks like witness protection is for her.
He said, well, I'll keep our talk in confidence. Well, not till the court documents come out. Then it'll be different. She said, they'll still find out and come looking for me. And he said, what will you tell them? And that's what he asked her. She said, I'll tell them you were here and asking questions, but I'll lie to them and tell them I didn't say anything. And he said, the Bronco leaves and whatever. So the next day, 11 a.m., Bronco gets a call from the Oscoda County Sheriff's Department, and this woman was there, Boudreaux was there, all upset and wanting to talk to him. And she said, I'll tell you everything I know. Just let me spend the weekend with my granddaughters.
She's resigned to dying?
Yeah, she said then they agreed to talk at Monday at 2 p.m. So Monday, she said she'd feel more comfortable talking at her girlfriend's house. Could he pick her up at 2 and drive over there? Okay. So then the second meeting was eventually held, but she had changed her mind, gone back and forth. This time, Bronco took a detective lieutenant with him on the case. They'd worked the case for so long. He needed a second eye there. Yeah. They go to her friend's house in Luzerne. She says, he says, well, you're the one who asked for the meeting. Let me know what's up. What's going on here? He said, she said, who have you told about me? Yeah. And the cop said, I've only told my post commander and this guy sitting right next to me. He said, because this cop knows more about the case than I know, so I want him to be here. So she says, quote, one of them grabbed my ass when I was playing pool. I told them to knock it off. They're shit. I mean, and then they said, which one of them grabbed you? And she pointed to Dave's picture. She said there'd been almost instant tension once the Duvals arrived, like they'd met earlier and already had bad blood brewing. She approached the Duvals' table and said something about the hunters. One of the Duvals said they were going to teach him a lesson. She'd been there with her friend Ronnie Emery, remember the deer guy, caught his first buck and shot his first buck. And anyway, and Ronnie Emery's name is nowhere in the reports, by the way, as well either, even though he was there. She said, they said, well, can we get a hold of Ronnie? And she said, quote, he's dead now, kind of a suicide. Kind of a suicide? What does that mean? Well, let's find out. Quote, he supposedly got drunk and crawled out on the highway and gotten his head run over.
Or got tossed out there after, Jesus Christ.
Run over by a 1990 Chevy pickup. She thought it was suspicious, and it might have been something else, a murder to make it look like a suicide, or a murder to make it look like a murder. That doesn't look like a suicide.
Doesn't at all.
I've never heard of suicide by placing your head in the path of an oncoming tire of a car and hoping it hits you and explodes your head like a watermelon. Has that ever happened before?
No.
Throw yourself in front of the truck on the highway if you want. That's crazy.
Nobody lays down on the road, right?
No, not that I've ever heard of.
No.
So she said she'd been there with Ron, and there was talk about getting some dope, they said. I don't know what dope is to them.
Could be anything, yeah.
Anything. The hunters were looking to score, the guys.
They wanted weed.
Probably weed.
Yeah.
The Duvals were trying to line something up from a 50-year-old couple who lived down the road and sold weed.
Yeah.
She thought the Duvals might be trying to lure the hunters outside on the pretext of getting weed and then beat them up. So the Duval party, like I said, bought her a six-pack, told her and Ronnie to take the fuck off. Men were fighting in an open area by their house. Now, here she said, she gets into more detail. She said they heard pinging, the kind of pinging an aluminum bat makes when it hits a ball.
Oh, God.
She said, I'll never forget that sound. While that was going on, Ron had crawled out the bathroom window and taken off down a trail behind her house to see what was going on. Why didn't he just walk out the door? They don't know. What the fuck? A little while later, he came back saying that they were killing the guys. They were lying on the ground, not moving, and the guys were still beating on them.
Jesus fuck.
Then they came by and knocked on the door and said, keep quiet, pigs got to eat. May 2003. Now they have an eyewitness to the actual murder through a dead man,
right? Yeah.
Who suicided himself. The Duvals are finally charged with first-degree murder. Okay? Finally. They contend that this is crazy. There's no evidence, all right? Now, meanwhile, there's other people they found also. Someone else in the headlights of a vehicle. This person said she saw the Duvals punching, kicking, and clubbing Brian with a bat or metal rod until he lay unmoving on the ground. So somebody else saw this as well. They said Dave ran away, but two men chased and caught him and then beat him to death.
Jesus God.
They then threw the bodies in the back of the Bronco, and one of the men drove away. Then they heard that they had dismembered the men and threw them to the pigs, just like they do with the deer that they catch. So basically, a spokesman for the Attorney General's office said authorities do not expect to find the bodies ever because of this, obviously. They said now the mother Dave's mother's still alive. She's in her 80s.
Is that right?
And she said it's been a long time, but maybe this is the beginning of the end. So they have Donna Schultz, they have all that. Some of the same evidence that points out her saying that they were in bed, and she's saying that, he told her that he'd feed her to the pigs and all that. Shit from that grand jury comes into trial because now it's got corroboration that they actually do that shit.
Yeah, so, but what I'm trying to gather is what's the fucking reason? Because they hit on some chicks?
Yeah, they just felt like doing it. I mean, and they stole their truck too.
Yeah,
that's the Broncos. They cut that up.
There's no reason to do this. This is crazy.
They're just, that's it. Boudreaux also, this poor woman here that we've talked about, the party hardy, she said one of her dogs had been shot on her front lawn, and another one was run over by a vehicle since she agreed to testify.
Wow.
She's being harassed. She said someone threatened her grandchildren. She feared for her life, but she said that she has not been harmed in any way. So far, she's been kept away. She described how she watched Donald Duval swing a club, perhaps an aluminum bat, and crush Dave's skull. She said, quote, like if you drop a pumpkin.
Yikes.
Oh, that's fucking horrible, man. Jesus, those poor guys. That is awful, man. I mean, Jesus, don't be grabbing asses, but good God, you don't need to. This is not the answer.
Is this a good reason to stay the fuck away from mountain towns?
Yes.
Oh,
I've been saying this forever. My cousin Vinny is the best possible scenario. That's the best case scenario. Is my cousin Vinny.
Oh God.
This is the worst case scenario. This is what I mean. So it's fucking nuts.
You're not from around here, are you? This is what
I've
what
heard
happens.
that. Yeah, that's why I don't like going places where they say that. Because no, Connie Sundberg, who lived with Donald Duvall for 9 years, Coco, she said she was at Raymond Duvall's home in South Branch in '85 helping make dinner when Randy pulled up in a black Ford Bronco with wagon wheel type rims, the same one that Dave had. So they said that they were going to take the Bronco away before we all get in trouble. That's what they said. So that's not good. Then several weeks later, he came home drunk and said we killed someone. Under cross-examination, David Welch, the drunk from the bar, the unemployed construction worker, said that he hung out with hunters at the Mayo bar. That was his 7-day-a-week hangout. He said, by the way, he answered his questions agonizingly slow in court because of a metal plate that was surgically implanted in his head after a crane fell on him. Okay.
And every time she turns the microwave on, I piss my pants, forget who I am for a half hour.
Forget who I am for a half hour. Now, these are the defense witnesses. There's one. Defense witness 2, Ken Duvall, the brother. He testified he couldn't remember his 1990 grand jury testimony because of a combination of what he called, quote, crack cocaine use, a stroke, and Alzheimer's disease.
How old is he?
Oh, my God. Not old enough for that. Then another guy who they bring in to testify is described as an amnesiac. He told jurors...
There's trouble with that testimony, you guys.
Well, he told jurors he had inside information on dozens of high-profile murders, including this one.
Oh, my God.
Now, by the way, we'll talk a little more about it, but Raymond Duvall Jr. here, he's going to testify. And when he testifies, he was calm as can be when being asked about murders. As soon as they asked him about the pig thing, he got all fucking pissed off about it. Which is hilarious.
Kissing a pig's pussy, that part?
Well, we'll talk about it. Yeah, what he says in court. So the defense is, in their opening statement, they said that this is just misunderstood bar talk by ex-girlfriends and others with an axe to grind. Okay. Said there's absolutely no physical evidence, and they couldn't even prove that the hunters were in the county at that point. Never mind killed there. Also, there's an alternate brother theory. Okay. The defense witness named Daniel Dutton, this is the amnesiac here, he says that a different pair of brothers named Artie and Mickey confessed to him that they murdered the hunters.
Oh.
So then the prosecutor said, aren't you an amnesiac? And he said, I am an amnesiac, but I'm cured.
No, I'm good. I was an amnesiac.
Then he claimed that various killers confessed more than 100 murders to him. He's just a fucking... It's totally crazy. He's just a magnet for this shit.
He's the oracle. They come to him for permission.
Yeah, they said they sought his pubic hair to... Everybody's after my pubic hair. To frame him with DNA evidence for the 1992 rape and killing of Deanna Seifert of Warren, and said they were all trained by Michigan serial killer / rapist Leslie Ann Williams. He said that, the hunters were killed with hatchet blows outside a Grayling bar, then their bodies sunk in a nearby stream. Quote, they stuck their fingers in the victim's mouth, depressing the tongue until the lungs filled up with water. Mickey had it down to an art. He's done it 30 times.
Oh, God.
But then he would it's ridiculous. Everybody in court was laughing when he would say this. Literally, the jurors were laughing. The people on the defense, everyone's laughing at him. Like, that's a bad witness. So Raymond and Donald, Coco and Junior, both testify they never saw, met, or harmed any of these guys, these hunters. They take the stand in their own defense. They say the witnesses against them are lying or mistaken. Raymond says, Junior, he believes he was at an early Thanksgiving dinner that weekend when the hunters disappeared, and Coco said he couldn't recall where he was. They both said they have never been to the Mayo area bar where the woman said they watched him get angry and beat them to death. One person said, here we go. On the witness stand, Duvall said this, quote, Jesus Christ. He said, after a drinking binge, he passed out in a pig pen adjacent to his house. He passed out in a pig. How much do you have to drink to sleep in a pig pen? When he awoke, a female pig was positioned with her private areas in his face. Other partygoers started the rumor that he'd kissed the pig's privates and told the story later on. Quote, in court, a court of law. Unasked, by the way. They didn't ask him about this. He's talking about something else, and he said, quote, they say I kissed that pig's pussy. I didn't. They said that he said, when he did, he was talking, he turned to the jurors hard and said, they said I kissed that pig's pussy. I didn't. That was with the most... Okay, so they're portrayed by everybody as violent, hot-tempered criminals who threaten to murder people all the time and all this type of shit. They asked one point, there's a big conspiracy of people who have it wrong about Donald Duvall, and Donald Duvall said, yes, there is. It's all, nobody knows who I really am. They said, well, haven't you been in, like, physical fights with your ex-girlfriend, Connie Sundberg? And he said, quote, a couple of times, and she won.
Okay.
Then he recalled an argument in which Sundberg picked up a gun and, quote, shot and missed him 7 or 8 times.
Oh, my God.
And he said, I laughed at her.
Oh, my God. That's a
7 or 8.
psychopath.
Jesus Christ. He said he's not a violent man, but yes, he did break his ex-wife's jaw. But that was only because she got in the middle of a fight between him and her uncle, which means obviously I'm not a violent man.
Yeah.
He said he occasionally fought with his other girlfriends, but not really. Junior said he owned as many as 9 pigs where they lived in the 80s, but he dismissed the notion that he used any of them for the disposal of hunters' bodies. That's crazy. I don't know anything about that. Feeding that.
What about kiss practice?
Come on, I got to make out with them. Closing arguments. The district attorney says their human faces are nothing more than masks for monsters. That's what they said. She said, this crime is an evil so dark your worst nightmare pales in comparison. There's no understanding of pure evil, only the recognition of what it is.
Okay.
All right. Now, it takes the jurors 120 minutes, 2 hours to come back.
Yeah.
Everyone was shocked. It was like a week and a half long trial. They thought there'd be deliberations.
Yeah. Took them 110 minutes to catch their breath from pig's pussy.
Yeah, they're laughing. They're like, all right, we got to get down to doing this, right? So they come back and they find both men guilty of murder in the first degree.
Uh-huh. Two of
them. Helen, who is Brian's mom and is 84 years old at this point,
Jesus,
said, I'm just glad. They took my son. Oh, no, this is Arthur Till. This is the father. He says, they took my son. It doesn't bring him back, but it's something. I was glad to see them cuffed, and I can't wait to see them in chains. Defense attorney says, they said to you, are you going to appeal? And he says, certainly. It's a murder conviction. You can't let that lie. Sentencing comes around. Not a lot of mitigation here for these guys. It's really difficult.
Man.
Everything's bad. So they say, you shit-kicking, woman-beating, jaw-breaking, kid-touching, pig-fucking hillbillies may fuck off. Life with no parole. Mandatory.
Shit, man. Oh, man.
Get fucked, both of you. So they're done. They tried to appeal based on the fact that they said there was no solid evidence, but they said there was literally eyewitnesses who watched you beating a man's skull in like a fucking pumpkin.
Right.
All the other stuff lines up. The timeline lines up with them being there.
Forever
Sorry.
In court documents, a big pussy kisser.
I didn't kiss that pig's pussy. That is a fuck. Everybody says I kissed that pig's pussy. I didn't.
I did not.
Which the whole court was like, they said it was, people didn't know whether to laugh or just like, what the fuck just happened? That's what he was concerned about. Not about murder, but the fact that they said he ate pig shit and kissed pig pussy. He didn't deny eating pig shit, by the way. Didn't deny that. Didn't at all. So either way, that is the Michigan Northwoods. Michigan. Michigan. What the shit are you doing? Good God. Brian and Dave disappearing. Wow.
Michigan's every
It's
time
fucked.
there's a case there, it's terrible.
It's insane. That's what I'm saying. We needed a case that didn't have like a 16-year-old girl or a child involved. So we're like, how about 2 adult men killed by pig lickers? Let's do it. Killed by people who are into the art of pig fillet.
Pig
Pig fillation. Yeah, pig fillation. I'm like, that's wrong. Pigalingus they're into. So porkalingus. There you go, everybody. Watch out for porkalingus. There they are.
Kissed her right in the bacon.
Right in the bacon. The Duvals are now in their 70s,
Yeah.
so they're not getting out, and I imagine they probably had awful diets their whole life. They
Yeah.
got to drop dead soon, I would think, right?
I hope that lady's still okay. Miss Boudreaux, was that it?
Yeah, I hope the rest. That's the thing. Even if you put them in, they have a whole clan. The rest of
there's
the family, cousins and relatives, and by marriage, and
Just shit
I'd move
biscuits
away.
everywhere. Yeah.
Move the fuck away if I'm her. Get out of there. Go somewhere else. Follow someone in your family's got to live somewhere else. Go there. Anyway, there's that. If you enjoyed that show, tell the world about it. Get on whatever app you're listening on. Give us 5 stars and say something nice. It helps drive us up the charts. Really does. Also, follow us on social media. We are at Murder Small on Twitter, at Smalltown Pod on Facebook, at Smalltown Murder on Instagram. You want to head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now. Get all of your merchandise. We have everything you can imagine. Everything from skateboards to notepads. We got it in there. Find it and get it, and fucking carpets. You can get blankets. It's all there. And especially get your tickets to October the 27th, virtual live show. Thanksgiving week, or not Thanksgiving, Halloween. We just did a show about Thanksgiving week. It's in my head. Halloween week. It's a Halloween spectacular, an extra creepy Halloween story. Will we wear costumes?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I might dress up as a turkey now. You don't know.
Will we be complete hacks? Who knows? We'll find out.
I might dress up as a pig
professional
pussy.
comedians who go out there with dignity and perform. We'll find out. You never know. Either way, check it out. It's going to be available for 7 days after that as well, so you can watch it even on Thanksgiving. You can watch it 100 times that week. You can buy it one day and watch it 5 days later. Doesn't matter what you do. 7 days. Shutupandgivememurder.com is where you get those tickets, or go to moment.co/smalltownmurder.
There it is.
And it's just like a regular live show, except you're the crowd out there in your living room. The setup looks the same, the table and the screen and everything like that. It's a lot of fun. And if you can't get to a live show, really, this is the best thing for it. Yeah. People really enjoy these shows a lot. It's a good social thing. Come check us out, and keep an eye out for next year's dates as well.
They're coming.
They're going to be coming up next year. A full lot of dates for 2023, I believe, is the year, if I can get that straight. So that sounds good. Patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get all of the good shit. I'm telling you right now, you get so much good stuff there at patreon.com/crime and sports. You get, first of all, the entire back catalog.
Yeah.
Which is over 100 episodes of bonus episodes
so
that you've
much.
never heard.
Yeah.
So much. Very bingeable. In addition to that, for $5 or above, you're going to get this. A cup of coffee. You get at least 4 new episodes every month. 2 crime and sports, 2 small town murder, but they're not, the sports ones aren't really that sports related.
Right.
You know how it goes. You get a little everything. So you get those. This week, what you're going to get is for crime and sports, which you'll of course have access to. You're going to get the Danbury Trashers story, which is
So good.
a mafioso bought his son a fucking hockey team, and they run it like a mafioso would run a sports team. Like, hey, just go out there and break his fucking legs. What are you talking about? Where, on the ice? Yeah, of course.
Obviously.
And then there's all sorts of federal crime and all sorts of things happening that affect the hockey. It's a wild scene, man. They really created something crazy. We'll talk about that. Then for Small Town Murder, we're going to talk about the Heyman Lee, Adnan Syed serial story. We'll get into it. I've literally consumed every bit of anything there is. And I'm talking documents, everything. I've gone in deep on this shit. And I have my own theories. I have a very simple theory, as a matter of fact. And Jimmy, I don't know if you do, but we'll talk about those theories and talk about that whole case and kind of, I don't know, try to figure it out. Heyman Lee deserves something. She is, and it's sad to say this, but podcasting is a viable business because of that first serial. Right. Heyman Lee is like podcast Jesus, as Jimmy said.
Truly,
you nailed it when you said that.
Yeah.
It's sad, but she died so we all can live, and it's sad. It's sad shit. So
it's terrible.
Either way, check that out. Patreon.com/crime and sports. We'll make it funny, too. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Do all of that. And, of course, you're going to get a shout-out. When are you going to get a shout-out? Right fucking now. Jimmy, tell me the names of the people who would never, ever, ever have to deny giving a hog
smooch?
oral pleasure. Could you do that for me, Jimmy? Hit me with them now.
This week's executive producers are Craig Ventura, Amanda Wills, Bathroom Floor Cherry Popper. Ew, what?
Oh,
God,
that is
Jesus.
disgusting.
What the... Also, happy birthday,
terrible name.
Madison Laurohr. Right after that gross shit, happy birthday, Matt.
Happy birthday. Yay.
Other producers this week are Peter Schmuck, Myron
Christ.
Spermstein. Spermstein, I imagine.
Sperm stain? Jerry, what is happening, guys?
Peyton Meadows, Paradise Campbell. Cheer up, bitch. Doofus McDoofus, David Fartsburg, and his family, James. Martin Harvey.
The whole Fartsburg clan.
Happy Hour in Texas, Frank the South African Birdwasher, Janice Hill, Alexis, nope, that's Alex Cassio, Michael O'Doherty, Keith Ketchum, Amanda Sample, Moonlit Little, Haley B., Carrie-Ann McDougal, Tara Greiser, I think, Andy Speicher, Ash Smart, Beth Eaton, Jason Kaufman, Justin Gerard probably, Paige J., Eddie Mayer, I think, Stephanie Inman, Leslie Logbeck, John Joyner, Andy Ferry, Justin Nelson, Todd Lopez, Sarah Gama, Gaza, I'm so sorry, Gassam Zadeh, I think, Amber with no last name, Hugh Jass, James, obviously, Sam Jennings II, Alyssa Meadows, Lorene Bidstup, Brandon Pennell, Lori Cox, Christian Garcia, Brenna Hennessy, Alexis Etheridge, Frank Guido, Kat Mack, Stephanie Machine, Jonathan DePaula, Suzanne Silverstein, Abigail Harris, Robert Nelson, Adam DeRozier, Jason Pounds, probably, Grace Dumas, Chris Butemeyer. What?
Yeah.
Casper Lago, Aaron Lilly, I think, Tim Egan, Bob with no last name, Mike Kozlowski, Kate Ariel, Sarah Keach, Sherry Gillis, John Seaton, Beth Donovan, Chad Bishop, Sheila Torres, E. Muncie, I think, Robert Stanford, David Barnes, Matt Stromsode, E.A. Wakefield, Jennifer Speroni, I think, maybe Sperone, I don't know. Brian Carter.
Put a pronunciation key in there for my man.
Oh, God, Jesus, I just burped. Alex Berry, Saruk JJ, I don't know. Sandy Center, Karen Sheets, Heather Dobbs, Scott Shattuck, Bam Bam with no last name, Zach with no last name, Jeff Gladden, Brett Thomas, Colleen Scarlett O'Hara, probably not, but possibly.
Sure.
Brittany Uriardi. E. Inez, Ann Trimble, Topher with no last name, Todd Runberg, Jamie Bursey, Jessica Suarez-Gorski, Carrie Lynn Van Pay, Corey Witt, Stephen in West Virginia, or Stephen, Jack Thompson, Nathan Leitz, I don't know, Brandy with no last name, Wesley Carlton, Christy D'Angelo, Sherry Lynn Sakala, I think, Jennifer Milovsky, Keaton, Carol Sims, Herolfer, Aronson, Arnason. It's never going to... I'm so dumb.
You're close.
All right. Walker
Sure
Mason, Megan with no last name, Nikki Salich, I think, Christopher Slater, Ben Potter, Karen Stewart, Chayla McD, Shannon Baldwin, Jorin Garcia, Megan Johnson, Melissa Carson, Brittany Green, Laura Wickizer, Larita Morant, Justin Larson, Jacob Chester, Pedro Neves, Chris Gilson, Gabrielle with no last name, L with no last name or first name, Kim with no last name, Seth Owens, Travis Grimm, Sharon Tinley, Emily Joy Carey, Michelle Schneider, Brandon Bailey, at Andre Crabtree, Michael Boardwine, Stephen Wolf Brown, Weddy Debbie. Jesus, that feels awful. Frank Harris, no name at all. Paige Holmes, Christy McFarland, Nathan Davis, Jeffrey Below, I think, Chelsea Gilmore, Slumber Boot 622, Slumbery? I don't know.
Slumbery?
Tanya Betzinger, Brian Hall, Chris Dion 12, Kimberly London, Claudia Chavez, Tim Lewis, and all of our patrons. You guys are truly amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, so much for everything that you do for us. We do appreciate it, and keep hanging with us. You are amazing. Can't wait to see you at live shows and everything else. And if you want to follow us on social media, real easy to do. Head to shutupandgivememurder.com.
Right.
There's links to all that shit, or just Google search Small Town Murder Podcast Host. There should be only 2 of us. Yeah. If there's any more, let us know, and we'll kick them in the dick. So we'll feed them to the hogs,
we'll
goddammit.
Smooch some pig pussy.
Or eat some pig shit for $5. Either way, keep coming back and seeing us again and again and again. And until next week, everybody, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer. I can really show you how to make some money. And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.